my whole you caught me off guard because we got I don't have anything. I'm just here to talk to you, and you got like a laundry list of things you need to talk about.
I've been able to do this with you a couple of times now, and I've enjoyed it. But I just thought, there's a little bit we kind of ramble here and one there, which I love. I'm all about that. But I thought if I could give, I'm kind of in this place in my life. I want to do something called doorways, ducks, and dump trucks. Right. I just want to give. Think about this, Nick. All the cool stuff that your mentors and that life has given you, all those life experiences, all the stuff that you've learned so far. Yeah. And you're like, man, if I could just give all this away, if I could just in 1 year impart, right, to people that wanted it, that were willing to, and ready to receive it, then I'd want to give it. So I was thinking about, you and I were having these great talks about culture, and I'm kind of fascinated with what you're doing with the Johnny Slicks business that you own. With your culture, there's some very intentional things you're doing. These are the kind of things I'm trying to teach organizations to do when they have me to come in and consult. But you're doing them. Yeah. So that just got me thinking about some things that you're doing. And I thought, well, what have I been talking about the last 8 or 10 organizations that I've visited? What have we really been talking about? I mean, they want to build culture. They want to check in with each other. They're kind of, this is the first time they've been everyone together since COVID. So there's a lot of things. But I really dial it down, and it kind of came down to 2 or 3 things. So I wrote those things down thinking, I think I want to hit on these and push them out to, all the people that are that you're communicating with, that you're in touch with, the Always Forward tribe, if you will.
The 4 of the 4 listeners that we have.
There's more.
I saw 6 comments.
So there's at least
6 comments.
At least 6.
Yeah, and only one of them was mine. So I feel like no. So I just found myself. I woke up this morning. I thought I want to talk about this. I want to share this. If I want to pay this forward. Yeah. And this is the Always Forward podcast, and it just seems like the right thing to do. Yeah. That's why I have some notes.
That's a good thing. What does Always Forward mean to you? Like when you hear those words, what resonates with you?
Well, I think what resonates with me is...
And you don't have to sell the podcast, but there's on a very personal level.
On a personal level, if I Always Forward, well, you're just not. You and I linked up, and then a couple years later, something just slapped me hard in my personal life, and I stopped moving. I wasn't moving forward. And I wasn't neutral, right? Yeah. So that place of not moving forward became it was harder than my military experience. It was harder than Ranger School to get moving again. And that was so unexpected, and so I was so unprepared for it. And then I was ashamed of being unprepared for it, so I wasn't moving forward. So when I think about Always Forward, I think about some of the talks that we had. I think about some of the adversity I've seen you face, and you're like, well, okay, well that sucks. And then you've got your mug that says, I'm going to kick it in the private, and then it
doesn't say that. It says kick the day in the dick.
That's what it does say. Yeah. And but it's part of your philosophy of always moving forward. So I think for me, it means just that. It just says, you're going to get kicked. You're going to get thrown
back.
Yeah. So you're going to get back up. It's that moment in Balboa, right?
Yeah.
Where he's talking to his son. Nothing's going to hit you harder than life, son. He gives his son
that is
pep talk.
It's one of the best monologues I've ever heard, right? Ever. Who wrote that? Did he write that?
I think he wrote that.
Oh, dang, man.
Did you watch the Balboa? Did you watch the?
I watched them all. The bad ones.
The Sylvester Stallone, the Netflix bio.
No.
Oh. This is on Netflix.
This is going to be up my alley.
This is Sylvester Stallone. He talks about moving to Florida, and then he just reflects on his life. He just unpacks his life and what he learned, and it's visceral. It just you're sitting there because we grew up with this. We grew up with this guy. Yeah. We grew up thinking, I'm going to drink some raw eggs. Right?
Yeah. Chase some chickens.
Right. No. Yeah. Right. But he just unpacks all of that in such a personal way, and he talks about some of his big mistakes and. Talks about his war with Arnold and their friendship, but he's so raw.
How cool is that? That whole that whole war, but it's a French.
Yeah. But he talks about that period of time and what happened in Rambo, what happened in Balboa, and he talks about his own losses in his family, and it's raw. I was watching it because Rebecca was watching it, and she's had a crush on him since she was probably 15.
Too.
Yeah.
So
I'm not saying I was jealous that I sat down. But I thought I'd just sit down and watch it with her so she'd remember that she was with me and kind of channel those longing feelings towards me. Didn't happen the way I hoped, but nonetheless.
All those kids are mine, right?
You could tell by the facial structure and that they're more than 5.5 feet tall, right? So, listen, always forward people. You got to watch it. It's Sylvester Stallone, raw, authentic. It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's very moving. There was a couple of emotional times I'm like, this is really raw. It's lovely.
So you just kind of, it's
he talks about being stuck and what he does and what he's learned to do to get himself unstuck. And his move from wherever he lives to Florida was one of those things. He says, I'm stuck. And when I'm stuck, I'm in my creative things and my productive things are just not what I know they can be. Yeah. Oh, it's lovely. You should watch it. Then we should unpack it in a future episode.
Which we will.
I would fly from Arizona to sit here with you to unpack that episode.
Just Delta this time. Next time.
Yeah. I don't want to talk American Airlines and throw them under the bus because I'm flying home with them.
Don't worry, this won't air.
There's a difference between Delta.
Yeah, this won't air until you're
Delta
already home.
Delta did change their Sky Miles program, and I'm not happy with it. Saying that out there right now.
Just gotta spend more money.
I don't. It's the white privilege that we talked about. I'm whining about my mileage.
Oh, so the backstory on that is Johnny and I went out to work with some private equity guys for Johnny Slicks, and so we fly out there, and the seats that we got were the pods going out there. And we're like,
it's 3 hours, 3.5 hours.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 4 hours from here to LA, right? Something like that. 4.5 hours. But it was during the daytime on the way there.
You got the pods. We got the
pods. We're like, dude, this is like sweet.
This is nice.
So it was daytime. So obviously we're working in the air. We
prepping for your meeting.
Prepping for the meeting. And got stuff to do. And so it was comfy. Don't get me wrong. It was comfy. And then, but then we like turned and burned. We went over there. We got there late that night, went to sleep, woke up, full day, and then red eye back. Because we got employees and family, and like we're not just gonna hang out in California for no reason.
I'm with you. Yeah,
so you do the same thing. It's time to get home, man.
You get home, yeah.
Yeah, Dimitri's like, hey, we got to build rockets, and Godzilla's on. There's things going on here.
Where are you, Dad?
Where are you, Dad? Yeah. He gets on the phone. He's like, are you watching Godzilla without me? No, I'm not watching Godzilla.
On my way, son.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm coming back. On the way back, because we were stoked. We're like, sweet, we're going to get the pod seats on the way back. Be able to go to sleep. And then, because we typically, when we land, we'll come right here and we were right back into a meeting.
Yeah.
So I'm like, sweet, we're going to get all refreshed, come back, brush our teeth, we'll be good, right?
It'll be a beautiful moment.
No. Just regular old, like the 1985 first class seats. Yeah, all the way back.
I know all about those seats.
And you know that coming here is longer. It's like an hour and a half longer.
Yeah, and you're flying against the sun, and that makes it even more.
Oh, it's dark time.
Yeah.
It's like we left at like 11 p.m.
I'm with you.
Got here at like 11 a.m.
I got on a Delta aircraft one time. They were like, hey, no, we moved to another flight and this and that. And all of a sudden, I'm like, I'm on this other flight. I'm like, oh, no, we don't know what happened. I'm like, well, this is what you told me. You see what I'm holding right here. And so it's just me and the gate agent. And they go, well, I said, there's a plane there. Yeah, but there's no one on the plane. There's just the crew. And so all of a sudden, I'm on a plane. This is one of the big ones. I'm on a plane. It's the captain, it's the co-pilot, and there's 3 crew members who were all going to lay back in their seats. But if there's one passenger, they have to go through the whole thing.
No.
So it was just me in first class and 3 semi-gracious.
Did you tell them, like, guys, listen, I won't tell anybody?
And you're like, you look back at a plane. There's nobody.
So it's not like you can even check out and not pay attention because
I'm on the safety briefing like it's the most. I'm going through the program. I'm right there with you. So
if you have to do this, I'm going to pay attention because it's just
with a basket. Would you like some snacks? It's just me.
I would have been like, you know what?
It was surreal.
I would have been like, listen, guys.
It was surreal.
Let's just hang out.
So my second surreal airport, and then we should talk about culture. So we're going to talk about something important. My second surreal airline experience, a friend said, Kirk, I've got to move my parents, and I was in Arizona and they were in Utah. And so we were going to, if you could drive the truck up to St. George or Las Vegas, we'll meet there.
Yeah.
To Las Vegas. We'll meet in Las Vegas. I'll take the truck the rest of the way. I said, great, happy to do it. And I'll fly you home. So this is right in the middle of COVID, right? So I'm drive up. He takes a truck full of mom's stuff. He thanks me, buys me an In-N-Out burger, drops me at the airport.
Oh, that's nice.
Drops me at the airport.
It's a good way to pay somebody.
I've got my ticket. I walk in. This is COVID, right? This is after it's become a political freaking football, but it's, we're about, 6-8 months in. I walk into, think about all the times you've been in Las Vegas airport, just cabs, everything. I walk in. I am in an apocalypse movie. I can't even see another human being. That big bank of counters, there's not even someone to tell me to check my bag or anything. There's nobody. I'm just like, that whole Las Vegas.
But it was open?
It was open. So I finally walk up and I go, hello. Little gal comes out. She goes, oh. Then I walk through security. Just me. Just me and a couple TSA guys. We're all masked up. Just me. Then I walk, and I just walk all the way to the gate, and it's just me. And finally another little lady shows up. So 2 people. This is, it flew me from Las Vegas to Phoenix Sky Harbor.
First world problems.
First world problems.
Yeah.
Okay.
First world, first class problems.
I have a picture of that. We'll try to integrate it in. Just me alone in Las Vegas.
I like that you're, speaking of pictures, let's pull this little book out.
Oh.
Can we pimp this book?
You can pimp it.
This book, The Cookie Thief.
Cookie Thief.
Is it in this book or is it in the video?
What are you looking for? Describe it to me. I'll tell you.
Hold on. This right here.
Oh,
the fact that you are a passenger in your own book.
Yeah.
But you're a scooper because I know you're a pooper scooper.
Yeah.
We need more scoopers, less poopers.
Now we need to pimp that other book. Well, that's word good.
Is that what you say? We need more scoopers?
Yeah, we need less pointers and poopers.
Less pointers and
more
poopers.
leaders and scoopers. Yeah.
More leaders and scoopers. Yes, guys. Is this on Amazon? How do you get these books?
They should go to kirkweisler.com. I mean, I'm happy to sell.
Don't go to Amazon.
No, Amazon deserves, $5-6 for my book when I get paid $2. Sure, go to Amazon if you hate me. All right, so.
Anyways, The Cookie Thief, and then we don't have the other one here.
The Dog Poop Initiative.
The Dog Poop Initiative. Real quick, talk about the Dog Poop Initiative and who buys that book, because you have written 2 beautiful children's books for adults, and I think we're at that stage in our society where
we need to dumb it down.
We just got to dumb it down, and at this point, adults need to listen.
The truth is, these are both 5-minute books, but the idea is that we've got that team huddle, we've got that team meeting, and nobody wants to go wah 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 wah. What we want is to share a short, quick message. People are learning in sound bites these days, right? So we want that short video. We just want that nugget of information that we want to be able to process it. And what we really want, I think, is we want leaders to lead a discussion. Get out of the monologue, get into a dialogue with your people. And so the Cookie Thief was designed to have that dialogue about what happens when we go to a negative narrative.
Yeah.
When we think, oh, that person slighted me, or this process sucked, or this system's or this change is gonna suck, and they just create the negative narrative before they really even explore, ask any questions. So to get out of judgment,
it's a beautiful book,
and move into curiosity.
Yeah.
Right. So
have you read that? No. Oh, it's beautiful.
Mario,
and then
this book will change your life.
It will change your life.
Jake made a video when he was 16.
I was just gonna say that.
Dang it.
Is it still out there?
Yeah. So you go to Jake Weisler, or to type in Jake Weisler, and he called it Visler. VISLER, Weisler Studios. So Jake Weisler, WEISLER, or Weisler Studios, The Cookie Thief. And you'll see Jake's film. He made it when he was 16.
Well, yeah.
Here he is now.
In an airport.
That's
somehow they got access to an airport, and he did the whole thing in an airport, behind TSA, in an airplane, the whole thing.
Yeah. No,
beautiful.
They gave him a gate.
Yeah.
They gave him we knew the vice president of Delta Airlines in Atlanta from church.
Okay.
And so this guy totally hooked him up with a
network.
Yeah.
Networking.
For sure.
Yeah.
And they even got an aircraft. They got to film on an aircraft. They treated these guys like and they bought him Chick-fil-A lunch. So
Mario, you don't stand a chance to get Shake. Sorry.
Sorry.
Anyways, go watch that video. It's just if you read the book.
Can we put a link? Can we put a link in your thing?
Yeah, we can put a link.
Yeah, we'll put a link in the description.
We'll put a link in the description.
There you go.
All right.
Anyways, so Cookie Thief, the Dog Poop Initiative, and then Dog Poop Initiative. The biggest purchaser of that book is
Boeing Aircraft, which may not be good because didn't they just lose a door or something? Are they the aircraft that lost the door? The door blew off. Alaskan Airlines, a door blew off their aircraft.
I don't know if it was Boeing, but
that was not Boeing, was it?
Well, didn't they build the
I don't know. Can you Google that?
Yeah, I'm gonna Google it.
Yeah, because I think there was a one of those cartoons that said the aircraft went up, but the stock price went down. Or something.
I don't know anything about this. What happened?
No, it was the seal. So it was the emergency door, but it was the seal. So it wasn't the door, the seal and the door.
In flight?
They were just at 16,000 feet, and they were talking about if they had been at 24,000 feet, it would have been a different story.
Anybody get hurt?
No, because everyone was still strapped in because they were still.
Oh man.
But if they'd already been started to serve,
I'll tell you what, 16,000 feet in a door open, a pressurized door. That's still rough.
Right?
Yeah.
No, it was Boeing.
It was?
Yeah, it was a Boeing 737.
They might not be buying.
That's not related to my book. So
just to clear that up, guys.
Just to clear that up. No, the Dog Poop Initiative enables and empowers leaders to have a discussion with their people without shame or embarrassment, without ownership, accountability, and initiative. In other words, if you see something, don't just say something and don't just complain about it.
We did a podcast. Oh man, we have to go way back in the podcast.
In
the rental on the back of the airport. It was a short podcast, but it was a great podcast.
We should put a link to that podcast in the description of today's.
Yeah, he can do that.
We'll do that.
But go ahead.
So I was working with a company in Ogden, Utah.
Yeah.
They do auto safety stuff, auto leave.
Yeah.
And what they wanted, I thought, what they need, what they're asking for, I said, I know a guy, and that was you.
Mm-hmm.
I said, this guy's a veteran, and he talks about this. And so that's the first time I asked you, would you come up and speak?
That was the first time.
Yeah, and it wasn't your full fee. I said, this is what I've got. And you're like, sure, Kirk. So you were gracious.
Anything for Kirk.
Yeah. And we still charged a lot though. So just don't be thinking you're getting a freebie here. So Nick got his full value. He goes, well, hey, listen, on the way back to the airport after the gig, he said, let's do a podcast. And I go, great. Where do you want to do it? He goes, on the way back there. So was Allie driving?
Allie drove.
So Allie drove.
Set the camera up on the
mounted the camera on the
center console.
Center console.
Yeah.
And then Nick is asking me hard questions in the back seat. It was a backseat affair. I don't want to go into a lot of detail, but we were close.
We were close. But you brought up, I can't exactly remember. We talking about the Dog Poop Initiative, and you were saying something. Why the number one reason why people don't take initiative?
Right. Oh, this is the thing that I learned. So it's one of the things that's on my pay it forward sheet, but not today. But I thought the number one reason people didn't take initiative was it's not their mess. It's not my trash. I'm not going to pick it up. It's not my dog poop.
Right.
I'm not going to pick. I thought
that makes sense, right?
Right.
Not my stuff. Why should I get with it?
But I'm a guest on this radio show. It's probably the first time I'd ever said in front of mics like this on this radio show. And we're supposed to have this 5-minute really ha-ha session about the book because it's so cute and clever. But what happens is the phones light up. And the DJ says, the DJs, it was a team, said, Kirk, this should be fun. We got a whole bunch of people calling about this Dog Poop Initiative story. Would you stay on and take a couple live calls? Sure, I've never done it, right? Just like I never did jiu-jitsu till I met you. I'm like, sure, I'm willing for some pain. Let's try it. So this is what I learned from the theme of every single person that called in that day was this. The number one reason people don't take initiative is not because it's not their mess. It's peer pressure and culture. Here's the example that I think illustrates all the comments. If I could put all the comments in, this is the illustration. She said, I'm on my way back from lunch with the work team. Mm. So the whole Johnny Slicks team goes out in 4 cars. You guys go to lunch, you're coming back. 2 of the teams are already inside. The other 2 teams park. Now they're walking back towards the building. Mm-hmm. There's a trash can by the front door of the building. Mm. But 20 feet before the trash can, off in the grass, 10 feet, a huge, nasty, big gulp, Slurpee, Circle K, whatever. Just laying there, grass, kind of crushed, a little stained, a little messy, right? She says, I saw it. Some of the employees that already were ahead of me. I stepped off the sidewalk and took 2 steps forward towards it. Yeah. Right, bending down to pick it up. And one of my coworkers says, don't touch that. You don't know where it's been. And she says, shamed me out of picking it up. Like I'm going to catch something. And she said, so I didn't pick it up. Mm. And she said, and it made me mad all day. She said, and she said this on the radio show. She said, because I realized later that they didn't really care whether I got germs or not. The reason they didn't want me to pick it up was what?
They didn't take the initiative.
If you pick it up, it'll really show the fact that what? I didn't pick it up.
All those people walked before you.
If you take initiative, you're going to make me look bad. Mm-hmm. They didn't care about her. They cared about how her initiative would make them look weak. There's 1,000 shadows of this that play out every day. Yeah. You got a coworker taking a little too much initiative. The other coworkers are threatened. So they start making little comments, little digs. Mm-hmm. Here's another example. So Mario, who's our AV man, our video freaking super god over there. So let's pretend that he's the brand new employee at the meeting. So you guys grew a lot last year at Johnny Slicks, right? Yeah. So he shows up. He's one of the new people. He's excited. He wants to be accepted. He wants to fit in. He wants to contribute. He wants to kick some ass, right? He wants to make you proud. Yeah. You did the right hire, right? right? But he also has little insecurities, right? Because he wants to fit in. He's got to be accepted by his peers, right?
Yeah, I had to mortgage my house to afford
right.
it.
So, no matter how much, right? He wants to fit in. So, you're having a team meeting. You've got this great culture. Like, does anyone have any suggestions? And so he goes, I have a suggestion. He makes a suggestion. After the meeting, though, a couple of coworkers thinking, who's this new guy? So they don't tell him not to make suggestions, but they say, hey, Mario. And he goes, yeah. He goes, did you notice anyone else make suggestions at the meeting? He goes, no. Yeah, there's a reason for that. You might want to think about it. and Mario's like, he just learned what it's not okay to make what? Suggestions. Or they might say, it might even be worse. If it's a toxic culture, they might say, hey, did you know how no one made suggestions? And he goes, oh, well, what do you mean? Well, there's a reason no one made suggestions because nothing really ever changes around here. I guess after you stop being new, you'll figure that out. Boom. Right? Just shutting him down. And there's 1,000 shadows of that.
I'm pretty sure if somebody pulled that
you have a healthy culture.
They would be fired like for so fast. I probably would have this. I'd be so angry that I would have to skip the strike 1, 2, and 3 people analyzer and go straight to like, I don't think you can be here anymore. I'm not saying
this is reflective of your culture. This was just an example. Nick.
I'm getting hot just thinking about that scenario.
Face turning red.
But some of your listeners, they have worked or are currently working in
places that are like that. Yeah.
Where there's all these little dimmers, and we're shutting down initiative because if you take initiative, you're going to make me.
But you kind of worked like, not to throw anybody under the bus, but you worked with places that was kind of like that, right?
Yeah, I mean,
like creatively.
I'm not creatively too, but like, I mean, even working as a cop.
Well, obviously,
yeah, that's exactly how it was.
Don't do your job too good.
Like literally, like that's why like when people graduate the academy, they're like so excited, and then it's probably the same thing with the military.
Of course, yeah.
2 or 3 years in, you're like, oh.
No, when I went in the Rangers, I was such a naive Boy Scout. I thought, oh, we're all here to be the best. I'm part of the elite. I'm so stoked. When I find out a couple of my colleagues are smoking dope and stuff, right? And this is back in the 80s, right? This is There's no one's legalizing anything, right?
It's not socially acceptable.
But I can't even wrap my head around it.
Yeah.
No one in my elite team, right? Because we're all here for the same reasons, right? I just have this. There was such a gap between reality and what I thought we were there for.
Of course. Yeah.
And other people were like,
I had the same thing when I entered the Marine Corps.
Yeah. They're like, what are you, a Boy Scout? And all of a sudden, I was the bad guy for having higher standards, morals, and expectations.
Yeah.
That's
the way it was, man. What do they call it? When I first came out, motard. They're like, look at this motard.
He believes, because he believes in the creed.
Yeah, right. I believe in being epic and like training and doing the things that we're supposed to do as Marines.
I memorized the Ranger Creed and I thought that's what we were supposed to be. I'm like, recognizing the Rangers are more
like
soldiers
nerd.
Who arrived at the cutting edge battle by land, sea, or air. I accept the fact as a Ranger, my country expects me to move further, fight harder, right? I had it all down. I believed it. And they were like, what a
nerd.
And like, oh, they're all laughing. They're all laughing at me. I'm like, oh. Right?
Oh, man.
But that's the peer pressure. That's the culture.
Yeah.
The culture. See, that's why they say culture eats strategy for breakfast. Culture. So you've got these great intents, this great mission statement, these great value statements, and you've got them in the lobby and they look really good and they read really well.
Oh, yeah.
They're like putting your hand over your heart.
Yeah.
But if the culture doesn't want it, if the culture cancels it, so culture is more powerful than strategy. So I'm doing a lot of safety briefings right now, lots of stuff in the safety community. So these people get together and they represent all these organizations and they're tracking their safety. And they want fewer incidents because they want fewer claims because those and people are getting hurt. So one of the illustrations that we use is the NASA. So OSHA regulations. Most people know what OSHA. So there's OSHA regulations. Then there's the NASA regulations, and their book on safety and regulations for safety is it's big. Mm-hmm. Like it's Britannica big. It's huge. Yeah. Okay, so, and yet...
A lot of people say yes, it's good, but it's sometimes a hindrance.
So, but then we've got two of the greatest disasters, right? We've got, those shuttle disasters. We've had a couple shuttles blow up in space. And the commission that looked at both of these horrific accidents that cost lives and millions and billions of dollars, they said the culture played as big of a role in this incident as the O-ring. the culture played as big of a role or bigger than the foam. The foam and the O-rings were both known issues. So it wasn't a matter of, these were known issues, but they were dismissed. They were canceled by the culture. People had offered warnings. They'd said, hey, I'm concerned about this. Yeah, but if we delay this launch, then all these projects on the launch, one of them's mine is going to get pushed back. And finally, priorities, I won't have a project on the shuttle, which means I won't get my PhD, da-da-da-da-da. So the culture canceled safety.
Damn.
Now, contrast that with a group of linemen. So I'm in Wyoming. I'm with a group of linemen, and we're having a culture day and a celebration day and a recognition day. And I'm just supposed to be there as a kind of a motivational speaker. I'm not there to solve or fix anything. I'm just there to be part of the hoorah of the day.
Provide some aha.
So they didn't have anywhere to put all these guys. So now this is the weirdest. We're at a rodeo. We're at a rodeo grounds. So with all these lineman trucks, all these linemen's trucks, everyone's steel-toed boots and Wranglers in Wyoming, right? And then we got 180 guys sitting in the stands of rodeo. They've got a little rodeo stage out there with a clown barrel next to it and a microphone. And that's where we're supposed to walk out there and present from. So, but the president of this group is out there, and he's recognizing people that have been there for 20 years, whatever. And then he calls out this cowboy. And all I can tell you is this guy looked like the Marlboro Man. I thought, this is probably 5'10". This guy walks out there, a little bit of bowed legs, his boots. He's got his hat on. You can tell he does not want to be in front of his peers. But they call him out there, and they reckon, Rusty, what's his name? Rusty. I can't remember. So Rusty's up there, and the president says, and been with us for 28 years, come up on 30 years. He's always had a crew. We always give him the new guys. And yet in those 28 years, he's never had an incident. He's never had an injury on his crew. Rusty, can you share with us your philosophy? And how is it you've managed? Because we've had a lot of accidents. We've had some tragedies. How is it you, right, with the new crews? And so think about the NASA book.
Yeah.
Listen to this guy's book. Because he's doing this thing on a 3x5 card. Here's what he says. And I get chills. I think about this guy. He goes, well, I get a new guy in the crew. First thing I do is find out if they're married. If they're married, I'm asking them the name of their wife and the color of her eyes. If they got kids, I ask them those same things. What their names? How old are they? Color of their eyes. And I tell them, I'll never want to be sitting down looking in them eyes telling them something happened to you on my crew. It ain't going to happen. You understand me? I ain't never be sitting down talking to Lori, looking at her pretty little eyes telling her you got hurt on my crew. It ain't going to happen. We're going to be safe. We ain't taking no shortcuts. You got it? That's what I say. He was done. NASA, OSHA, Rusty. Right? Right?
Yeah.
Keeping it real. So you think about those two things. Now, granted, it's easier to control the culture of my crew than the culture of something as big as NASA.
I mean, taking shortcuts.
But somewhere along, every group was a leader who has to think and feel like Rusty does, has to care enough about those individuals to get them to lean in and him to go, I know more about you than you. I know there's people at home waiting for you, wanting you, loving you.
Yeah.
And I care as much about them as I do you. And I got to get home to them. So we're not taking shortcuts. So culture eats strategy for breakfast. Leaders influence culture, or they should. Or they are. No, they should. They are. All cultures are influencing. All cultures are influenced by leaders and everybody else.
It's amazing to me how many organizations, and not even businesses, but organizations, groups of people, just have absolutely shit culture. And there's
you can feel it.
You can feel it. Yeah. And it's like the majority of these people, like you got to think, and we've talked about this a lot, how much, let's just go to the work thing, how much you work in your life.
Yeah, more waking hours at work than at home. More home hours maybe, but as far as waking hours of your life, work.
Experiences.
Yeah.
Work.
Yeah. Conversations.
It's just unacceptable to spend that amount of time in a negative space, in a negative, toxic working environment where people operate that way.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Okay, so I was blown away this morning. Nick took me to Crest.
Yeah, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in Hampstead.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, my second time ever.
Yeah.
To roll with the guys.
Which I did not make Kirk go. Kirk asked what the schedule of the day was.
Okay, so you guys that are on this listening, so I live in Arizona, but I'm out here this week to work with Johnny Slicks and to work with Nick. And so I thought, I don't want to be here in a hotel. I mean, what would you pay to shadow this guy who has a morning ritual and routine, and right? He's got his life dialed in. So I said, I just want to be with you every minute that I can. So I'm really kind of a stalker in his back pocket. So
you've done a lot of caffeine today.
And well, you got to keep up. So this morning, part of his routine this morning was jiu-jitsu. Yeah. So again, this is not something I have a lot of experience with, but it was really cool. So after we rolled a little bit, I'm talking with Matt.
Sure.
I'm talking with Matt, one of the guys.
And I talked to a bunch of guys, but Matt was one of them.
I was talking to this one guy, and this goes back to what you're talking about, toxic culture. And I said, so how long have you been doing jiu-jitsu? This many years, how do you know Nick? I'm just kind of making conversation. And this is what I learned. He said, we actually moved where we moved because of this gym, this jiu-jitsu. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, well, he said, every jiu-jitsu place isn't the same. He said, they might all say they do jiu-jitsu, but he said that each one of these dojos has their own culture. Is that what we call them, dojos?
Sure.
Whatever. They have their own culture. He said, some of them are toxic. He said, they're all doing jiu-jitsu in there, but there's this competitive alpha thing going on. And there's just this, he said, and you can just feel it. You can just feel it. He said, so this was a research thing for me. He said, I visited.
He did. He actually came and visited. Yeah. I remember him coming and visiting while he was out of town.
Then I went home, and my wife and I drew a circle around this gym saying, we're going to buy a home somewhere inside of this radius of this gym. I'm like, what? But that's how important culture was to him. Because he said, I want to do something I love, and I don't want to do it in a toxic work environment. Mm-hmm. I don't want to do it in a toxic gym. Mm-hmm. And I was like, dang.
Now think about that from the business owner's perspective.
Okay, go ahead.
Like if you can create that, well, you can create clients. You can create customers. Not necessarily because of the product, but because of your culture.
Yeah.
What you stand for.
Yeah. So true.
Yeah.
And I'm sure with the clients you work with, you say this, but here the reality is when that $60,000, $70,000 employee leaves, Gardner and Forrester, all the research says it cost them twice their salary to replace them because all the institutional knowledge that left. Now all the bandwidth of hiring, recruiting, and onboarding that next person, now we get them up to productivity. It's just so much, there's just so much financial incentive to keep the people you have and to keep them engaged.
We have a 90-day lead, like a 90-day from not even a full-up round, but it's a 60-day process to bring somebody on. 60 days.
To bring somebody on.
Then they have a 30-day, whatever, I forgot what they call it, like a 30-day.
Just like an eval?
Yeah, I forgot what Rebecca calls it, but basically they're on like a 30-day like
eval trial.
Like a probation kind of thing.
Probation kind of period. Okay. And they're training during that 30 days. And at the end of the day, that 30 days, they become an employee with benefits and et cetera. But think about if that doesn't work out. That's 90 days.
It's 90 days.
And then you got to repeat the process over again if they don't work out.
Right?
But we have our process dialed in.
Listen, I'm in 80 companies a year.
Yeah.
And all of them, all is kind of such a big word. 95% of them have got stories about people they're trying to get rid of that and they have to own the fact they hired them. They got to own it. And if they're a government agency, right?
Forget it.
Yeah.
Forget it.
It's just, so they just pass them around.
Yeah.
They just pass them around.
Yeah.
How can we transfer this person? And they're lying to colleagues saying, oh no, he's good, right? No, she's great. And they're sending their most toxic person. I did a program in Minnesota for the VA, and we just had a phenomenal day. We were just having so much fun. And we did 2 or 3 groups, and they said...
You just made every veteran on here cuss, by the way, as soon as you said that. Yeah, as soon as you said the VA.
Oh, sorry.
They were all just like...
These are VA, these are people that do VA support. So one of the hospitals or whatever up there. So they said, Kirk, when's your flight? And I said, so-and-so. And they said, so we'll get you to the airport. Could you do one more group? I said, sure, right?
I'm here.
Yeah, mine's a daily rate. So, and I go, tell me about your group. They go, well, all the bad apples that nobody could stand, we put them on their own team. So this is all the toxic people that we can't get rid of, all blended together. We kept them in
fun
in a separate pod, and they came in. Holy, you could just feel Like, and they're like, no one's going to motivate me. No one's going to change me. They were saying things out loud.
Hey, that's not a bad tactic though. Like as long as they don't have to produce, you take all the bad apples that you can't get rid of, and you just put them in their own.
This was the
section.
Expendables in the most negative way.
Yeah.
these were
when budgets come, that's the team that's getting cut.
these were the most broken. So, but and one lady said to me, "You're not going to change anything for me." I said, "I'm not here to change anything for you. Right? You're exactly where you choose to be."
Yeah.
So, and if that's good for you and toxic for everyone else, I guess you can live with that.
Yeah.
And make us live with you. Right? I'm just here to offer some ideas, but just for people that want to grow, learn, change. So, not you.
Got it. You made it noted.
Noted. That was what an experience.
So how'd it go? It was horrible.
It was, at the end, I had two people stay and say, right?
Yeah.
And so, did I really break through those two people? I don't know, but I did my best. And
if you broke through one,
yeah.
I mean, the what is it called? The catalyst. The cascade.
Cascade effect.
The cascade effect of just changing one person's life could be a big deal.
And in the entrepreneurial accelerator that we're doing this Saturday.
Yeah.
This program that you're doing to help entrepreneurs kind of grow themselves and business owners. Yeah. I hope that we have time to talk about the orbits model, but the orbits model talks about how, we're orbiting. So just pretend our employees are in an orbit around our why and our purpose.
Yeah.
And then they might go slightly out. Their orbit might have a toxic interaction or some negative interaction. So their orbit might just increase a little bit. And the farther they get away from the core, the more likely they are to disengage until finally, and there's 4 orbit cycles. And by the time they reach the 4th cycle, they're already, right? The 2 middle cycles, they've disengaged, they've quit and stayed. The 3rd cycle, right? So, but in these 2 middle cycles, there's a chance to get them back to core orbit, but you've got to be aware and measurable. So, but it's true. These people had quit and stayed, and they would have been exited, but they're like, why am I going to exit this government paycheck? Right?
I get benefits.
Yeah, I get benefits. I get it,
and I get a paycheck regardless how well I do.
All right, so always forward. So Nick,
yeah.
I don't know how long we would want to chat on this podcast, but let me just. I had a couple things I wanted to share with the always forward listeners.
Okay.
About this culture thing that we're talking about. So about culture. And one of the things that organizations struggle with is communication. And so, but communication just is so broad and so vague. So I want to offer a couple resources to the Always Forward. Listen, if you're out there and you're leading a team, you're on a team, you're coaching a team, or maybe a business, and I know a lot of your people in your tribe are running their own ship, running their own teams and businesses. There's a book called The Leader's Voice, and there's a couple lessons I learned from this book, The Leader's Voice. And so I want to share those lessons and kind of pay them forward if I can. So the leader's voice is how your communication can inspire change and change results. And it's a very research book. So here's the research. The research is we're going to look at Nick. We're going to look at every person at Johnny Slicks. We're going to look at Mario. We're going to look at if you guys have a shared WhatsApp place, if you've got a shared forum, employee forum, email, your personal emails, phone calls. We're going to attend every meeting with every one of your people all month long. And we're going to just look at all the stuff that you receive. Everything that your supervisor told you, everything that you got from your peers. We're looking at all the communication that happened to you individually, and we're going to look at it. And we're looking for 3 things: facts, symbols, and emotions. Mm-hmm. Because the most successful communication by research, the kind of communication that can somehow move to here, to hands, right?
Yeah.
Head, heart, hands, that just puts you in motion, contains 3 elements: facts, symbols, and emotion.
Okay.
And here's what the research says: that 96% of all the communication that most people receive at work is just the facts. And the facts, like that spreadsheet, seldom inspire change or results. They're just the facts. But if you can communicate those facts with symbols and emotion, stories, right? That has a chance to get that stuff head to head, head to heart, heart to hands, and cause, right? So
I like how it makes sense because it ties into, you've heard Simon Sinek talk about the why and the whole human interaction of why we connect to things. Like, we're not going to connect to a fact. You know,
So
it's not how we get sold on something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully everyone on the Always Forward, I'm sure you've mentioned Simon before, has watched his beautiful little TED Talk on the why.
Yeah.
Right. But imagine that same talk.
If you haven't, I highly suggest.
And I think he's a master teacher. He's masterful, his ability to connect and convey. But imagine that same presentation without the visual. Right?
Not going to be there.
It's right.
And he did it on like an old, like
he did it on a flip chart with a marker.
A flip chart.
And yet we were looking at that thing like we were trying to hit the target.
Yeah.
Well, you're leaning in. It was freaking TED Talk.
Yeah.
So that's the symbol. So we're seeing the symbol, facts, symbols, and emotion. Here's an example. Then I want to come back to a little bit more to the leader's voice in a couple lessons. Mm-hmm. So you and I at the accelerator, we're going to talk about clarity. Mm-hmm. Clarity is such a huge thing. It's one of the greatest gifts as leaders that we can give to our families, that we can give to our teams, and we can give to ourselves. Mm-hmm. So clarity is important. I would say those are the facts, but they're just words. Here's an illustration that I saw that I just thought, I love this illustration. So I'm listening to this guy talk, and he's talking about clarity, and he picks up a picture of the ocean. And it's just the ocean. There's no land. It's just water as far as you can see. And he goes, imagine that you're on this ocean. Your boat sank, your plane went down, you're on this ocean in a lifeboat with some other person. So Nick, you and I are on this lifeboat in the middle of the ocean. And it sucks. Like, oh, wow, this sucks. We didn't intend to be here, and we don't know where we are, and our vessel's under the waves, and it's just you and me. And we float there, and we've got this little plastic oar, and there's a little flap with a first aid kit. There's another little plastic oar, and it's you and me. And on day 2, no one's flown over. No one's come to find us. And I'm going, man, this sucks. And then you go, Kirk, what I think we should do. And I'm like, oh, what do you think we should do, Nick? I think we should paddle in that direction. You just point over the side of the raft. You just point. And I look up, and all I see is ocean. And I swing, and I 360. And it's the exact same everywhere. And I go, and so, Nick, why do you think we should go that direction? And you go, oh, Kirk, it's just a feeling. Right? And I go, oh, really? Tell me more about your feelings, Nick. Is it the same feeling you had when you felt like we should go on this fishing trip? Is it the same feeling you had, Nick, when you opened up that first aid pouch yesterday and drank both the water packets in there? Is that same feeling?
I was thirsty.
And I'm like, because the feeling I'm having right now is to hit you over the head with this oar and drink your blood. Right? It's day 2. What's morale like in our boat?
Not great.
What's motivation like on our boat?
Not great.
What's engagement like on our boat?
Pretty intense.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, now let's change one thing in our story.
Okay.
And watch how it changes everything. Mm-hmm. Same 2 guys, same thirsty friend that drank both packages yesterday. Day 2, though, you go, hey, Kirk, look. I look over the boat in the distance. It's not a mirage. In the distance, the clear, unmistakable outline of land. Mm-hmm. Does anybody need a pep talk right now?
No.
Right?
No.
You and I are right now, what? We're stroking it.
There's not a lot of talking going on.
Okay, so now let's bring this back to business.
Yeah.
When a leader can give their people clarity, mm-hmm. This is where we're going.
Yeah.
This is why we want to get there. Right? And every effort you're making is taking us towards that desired destination. That's the power of clarity. So remember, we're talking about 2 things here. We're talking about clarity. We're also talking about facts, symbols, and emotion. Me telling, hey, people, get some clarity because it'll give you more momentum. Those are just, let me illustrate the power of clarity. Now, leaders, how do we check for clarity? And what kind of clarity do we want to give people? We want to give people clarity around a couple of things. 1, the destination. 2, points on the board. Are my efforts moving us towards this destination, right? So I see clearly where we're going. I see our why. I see clearly that every effort I'm making is taking us towards that.
Right.
Right. And clearly, I understand why we're going there. Clearly. That's about clarity gives confidence. Confidence increases engagement because I know that everything I'm doing is right. It's what you want me to do. And you know what? I want to do what you want me to do. I want you to see me doing well. That's clarity.
Is the only way to get there.
Facts, symbols, and emotion. So we took the facts, we gave it symbols and emotion, we put the story around it, and all of a sudden, wow, clarity. Now we can have a bigger discussion about how we're going to get to clarity. If clarity is so important, right? I can't get to clarity by saying, is everybody clear about our goals? That's not checking for clarity. That's checking for some lame validation to validate yourself.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Everybody's going to say
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. I don't want to be the person that's not clear.
Right.
So we check for clarity by building trust by saying, well, so in your words, what are you trying to achieve? Right? You told me this brilliant story this morning. You said, I'm assuming everyone that listens to you knows what Johnny Slicks is and what it does.
I freaking hope so.
Okay, so right, so and I use Johnny Slicks products, and so but I don't have a beard. I don't use the beard oil, but I use the other stuff, and right. So, but you kind of went on a little rant this morning. That was a purposeful rant, and it was a rant that you said, Kirk, my people have heard me give this rant, and it was that, yeah, Johnny Slicks, this is what we sell.
Yeah,
this is not who we are. This is not all we do. Our mission is bigger. Now, you made the why bigger and more visible. Give us a mini rant. You guys got to hear this rant. This was the rant.
You mean for Johnny Slicks?
For Johnny Slicks.
Why we just don't sell soap.
Yeah, it's how this is more than soap and shampoo.
So if you look at the bigger companies out there that Let
me context this.
Okay.
We're contexting this. Remember, we're talking about the clarity, because clarity is this driver. Clarity invites engagement. Clarity makes the why live and breathe. Clarity is the island that we see. Now look how Nick gets to clarity as a driver. That's what we're doing here. I just want to unpack it.
Our mission.
Because otherwise they're going to be, your listeners are going to be so caught up in your story, they're going to be like, and ordering shampoo. That's not that's not what we're after. It's okay if you do. What we're after is what the leader is doing to bring clarity.
This is just what I talk to the staff with.
I just want to make sure that we understand what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very easy to get caught up and say, I just, like say you're in fulfillment. I just pack boxes for Johnny Slicks.
Yeah,
and
right.
They go out the door. I get an order, put the stuff in the box, and it goes out the door. Right. That's not what you're doing.
But it's what I'm doing.
But it's not.
But
so let's take a big step back and look at the industry as a whole. You've got companies literally selling the products that are making people sick, turn around, and I'm talking about sick with cancer, life-ending illnesses.
Right.
Okay. Life-ending illnesses. And they turn around and they sell the cure for that exact illness. This is public. You can research this.
Right. The same companies that make the stuff that make us sick
are selling
the chemo juice.
The chemo juice
that's supposed to help make us better.
Exactly. Okay. That's just evil by itself. Let's take it a step further.
Okay.
To make those products, they have sold out America. They have sold out their soul to make a couple extra bucks by moving those jobs overseas to make the product, to fulfill the product, to do everything that they're going to do. The bottle, the printing, the ingredients, everything, all of it is not in this country. Not a bit of it. And they bring it back to this country to put on stores, to sell to you so that you can get sick, and then turn around and they'll sell the cure, the medicine.
Right, the medicine.
To make you better. Right?
Right.
Evil.
Okay.
Evil. So now not only do we have a product that's on the shelf that's literally making people sick.
Right.
Turn around and selling their insurance or selling them the chemo, or they're having to leverage their house, right? But how are they making that money? Because they don't have a job to produce the product. Right? Because they've outsourced that. So at Johnny Slicks, we're not just selling soap.
Okay. We
are selling what is truly the American dream. The manufacturing of that product right here in America. The ingredients of that product right here in America, all organic. No chemicals. Johnny's a freaking wizard. I don't know how he's done it, but it obviously is a lot of years and stress and whatnot. But an all organic product, okay. And then we have been told numerous times, outsource your manufacturing overseas. Pennies. You can make it for pennies. Outsource your customer service to the Philippines.
Pennies.
Outsource your fulfillment to some other company. What do all those things do? Nothing for America. We literally have 3 families working for this company. 3. Husband, wife, and even kids. Teenagers that work for this company.
Whole families
working for here. And we don't pay like some garbage ass wage.
Right.
Like we pay above industry standard.
Okay.
Not above minimum wage. Above industry standards. Like what you could go get at Lowe's or Home Depot at a corporate job.
Right.
You know, obviously there's entry level but even our entry level
is above.
So why? Because Americans need, and shit costs money. Groceries cost money. Rent costs money. People have lives that they have to do.
Okay.
This is the American dream. Provide a working environment that's not a toxic area place that you can thrive. Like they come here, they get a gym membership, right? We talk about leadership. We talk about growth. And you know what? I tell everybody that's coming here, you might not be here forever. If you come here and work for 2 years for us, I want you to be so employable that you're like, I can go start my own business. I can go do this other thing. And you should.
I got offers.
I got offers. Good for you.
Okay.
Hold on. I'm not done, Kirk.
Oh, no.
I'm not done.
I just.
These people have, just hold your thought.
I got it.
These people have sold their soul. All right. And now I want you to think about, not only do we employ Americans, and we got a huge team, and we've quadrupled this past year, and we will continue to do so. All right. So not only do we employ Americans and their families to earn a wage and to work in an environment that you are providing a safe product for Americans, right? All right. But every single ingredient that we buy from every single company, we have 400 and something ingredients that we buy from different ingredient manufacturers, raw ingredients providers. How many employees are they employing?
Right.
Because they're also American-made companies.
That multiplier effect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. So when somebody is packing a bottle of body wash, we're not just selling soap. The amount of lives affected by you buying the amount of lives that you're affecting in a positive way for buying one bottle of wash.
It's hard to measure.
It's hard to measure compared to buying some garbage thing off the shelf that's giving you cancer.
Came out of a container overseas. Made by the cheapest manufacturer, the cheapest ingredients they can possibly.
So they can make an extra $2.
Okay, so always forward listeners. So again, it's so easy to get drawn into the passion of Nick, but the story he just shared with us just this minute is the same story he shared with his folks. Now think about that. How important it was. And what I'm feeling is I'm like, because after a couple weeks of just packing a whole bunch of boxes and getting all this, and your guys were just crushing it today, filling boxes for all the orders that you had. And so, right? But it's easy to get caught up. It's easy to get disconnected from the why. So leaders helping people connect with and stay connected to and reconnect with the why and to elevate it and to breathe life into it on a regular basis, that's important. Because clarity and connection drive results and keep us engaged in the culture, as opposed to, I'm just doing stuff.
Every single person that works here loves working here.
Yeah.
We've had people leave and then come back.
Yeah, and you've had, you've had two or three, right? People, yeah. They've left, and my wife says the fish is the last one to know what's in the water. So you're like, oh, this is great, I love it. But they don't even know what they know or what they're experiencing because they're surrounded by it. They go somewhere else and they go, I don't feel that here. In fact, I feel this other thing here, and I don't like that. I want to go back there.
Yeah, because you know what's crazy is what's even wilder, and Mari, you can attest to this as technically as an employee of the company. Mm-hmm. Everybody thinks like, oh, I'm just going to come here and like have fun, and it's not work. It's not like I don't have to work hard.
Yeah, because these guys laugh a lot.
Yeah, you work hard. You will work harder here than any other job.
Yeah,
and they all do. Mm-hmm. Am I wrong?
No.
Like the demand is high.
It's not even like demand. It's just expectations from you.
Yeah. And
it's like, I was just talking with them about it. It was just, it's tough love. And I think maybe we were talking about that earlier, Kirk. It's tough love from you, but it's because you have high expectations for everybody here to be better. And that's like, and not a lot of places you get that. I didn't get that in my last job.
And it's not an ambiguous better. there's clarity around the better. In other words, right? They're looking at very specific behaviors, and it makes a difference. So this clarity. So coming back to clarity. Yeah. So we create clarity as leaders. We create clarity for ourselves because clarity does for us the same thing clarity does for our team. At the Accelerate, the Entrepreneur Accelerate this Saturday, I know you're going to talk about vision. You're huge on vision, and not just have a vision, but no. You're not going to get off with that. My business, right? No, you're going to dial in very specific until finally I see a blueprint. I see what it looks like. I feel what it feels like. I know where I fit in this picture that's so clear. So clarity will do for your team and your culture what clarity does for you. So seeking clarity is a worthy effort. And checking for clarity, you're not going to, no one listening to this podcast is going to be like, I'm going to go check for clarity and going to hit it out of the park. But you're going to get better at it.
Right.
Right? Because
it's sets and reps.
See, right. Because the low end is like, are you guys clear? And you're like, that sucked. That was lame. That was like the least clear way to ask for clarity. So then you start learning how to check for clarity. And all of a sudden clarity becomes a reward. People are like, they want to be clear with you.
I have a way to check for clarity. How do you check for clarity?
I just say, in your words. No, I just want them to tell me your story. In other words, I think I know what I see and what we're working for. What do you see? And man, that doesn't sound anything like, right? Like my wife and I are sitting there, right? And we're having on the same bench in the same meeting, and she's hearing a very different talk than I am. So we go home and man, that was a great speaker. Yeah, I really liked what he said about marriage. He didn't talk about marriage, right? Oh, so there discussion.
Yeah.
We need some discussion to get to discovery, to get to clarity.
That's kind of the way that I do it.
Yeah.
I kind of pull a special operations way.
Go ahead. What do you do?
It's back brief.
Okay.
So I just told you that. Now back brief me.
Teach me. Yeah. Tell me what I just.
Tell me what you heard.
What you heard. Okay. So that goes to. So here's the 4 fatal assumptions. Grab your pens, people. These are the 4 fatal assumptions leaders make when they communicate. So let's see where they fit into our discussion.
Okay.
And then I don't know how much time we have. So here's the 4 fatal assumptions. So this is from, again, the book, The Leader's Voice. These are the 4 fatal assumptions leaders make when they communicate. So here's a leader in front of the people. The first fatal assumption they make is, right, they pontificate to their team. And because they're the leader, and they've talked to the stakeholders and the shareholders and right? They're the best communicator they know.
Yeah.
Right? And they don't think they're all that, but they're good.
Good.
Because they're in charge. They must be good.
I'm the boss, man.
Right? So I said stuff. First assumption I make, everyone understands what I just said.
Yeah.
Everyone understands it. The second assumption I make is everyone agrees with what I just said. What's to disagree with? I am the
boss.
I'm the boss.
Yeah.
Right? I'm the leader. I built this thing. Right? The third fatal assumption leaders make is that everyone cares about what I just said.
That's a funny one.
Right? I hear you. I agree, but I don't know what that has to do with me. I'm right.
Yeah.
Right. The fourth fatal assumption leaders make is things are going to change because of what I just said. Right. Well, I mean, right.
Kirk, let me tell you. Let me tell you.
Those are the 4 fatal assumptions.
The way I communicate. So I've learned this through sets and reps, like the whole back brief thing and providing clarity. Like I can deliver a message and it be clear, and then I still get back brief. But in day-to-day communication with me,
right?
And Mario can attest to that. Half the time I will say a paragraph, and they will look at me like, "What you just said makes no sense in my brain." Absolutely.
I don't even know what language you were just speaking.
Mario, can you hear Mario? He said, "I don't even know what language you're speaking."
I don't even know what language you're speaking. And it happened to, so today we were talking about so after the Entrepreneur Accelerator, a week or 2 weeks later, we're launching a 6-week online accelerator for the people that couldn't make it, you and I. We'll get to that in a second. But I'm telling her about it so that she can create the product and we can have the offer ready and everything.
Yes.
And she goes, "You just said a lot of things and none of them make sense."
Who said that?
Caitlin. You just said a lot of things and none of it makes sense to me.
Okay, but so I'm an outsider, right? So I don't work and live here every day. And I love you and I love Caitlin, but I don't have any skin in the game. So, but as a consultant, I'm not, and I wasn't in a consultant role. I was just in the room.
Yeah.
But what I saw was everything you just said exactly as you said it.
Yeah.
But what I saw was celebration for me was Caitlin was so confident in telling Nick, you're making no sense to me. She wasn't like nodding and then slinking out going, I guess I got to figure this out. I don't want to question Nick. She just was, with all the confidence in the world, she said, you're not making any sense to me. You want to try again?
Then what did I do?
You just said, okay. And you went at it again.
Yeah.
You just kept moving forward and
laughed and because I know that about myself. I know that I can communicate fast. Right. I have a lot of things on my head. I'm probably thinking about three or different things at the same time. Yeah. So I'm just trying to get the information out, and then it's important for all of, and they know that. Right. And they even brief other people that are on, like, if they're the F and G, you know, it's like Rebecca or one of them will be like, listen, Nick talks really fast. Make sure you have a notebook and a pen with you, and then, you know, ask questions.
Ask questions.
Ask questions.
If you don't get it, and you probably won't.
Ask questions.
Nothing's wrong with you.
Yeah. Anyways.
But here's the thing. In our brains, right? It's so clear in our brains, right? That we shortcut.
I know exactly what I said.
We shortcut the words because, like, I'm just gonna. Like, this is so clear. Just a few words are going to get you there, right? And we don't know.
No.
So they understand, agree, care, and are going to change their behavior because of what we did. Those are the,
because I'm so freaking awesome.
Because I'm the leader.
I'm the leader. Yeah.
And even if I know I'm a broken leader, I'm the communicative leader. Here I am. I'm telling you guys, I'm taking the time.
So talking about clarity, you know, you like you said, you hit a bump in the road. You kind of hit and I didn't know, but I called you and I remember that happening. And I said, you know, what's going on? You told me. I'm like, oh man, I was not prepared.
Yeah.
Because I talked to Kirk, like, oh, everything's amazing. Kirk, life is amazing. I have this beautiful family and everything is awesome. And I have a great job and everything. And for the first time in our friendship, you know, you're a big mentor of mine. And, but in the first time you were like,
laying in the ditch,
you're like, Nick, everything is, and these are my words, not Kirk's, everything's fucked. Everything's fucked. It could not be more fucked right now.
I don't know what happened.
I don't know what happened. Life just fell apart.
An A-bomb hit my family.
Yeah. And I'm like, I wasn't emotionally prepared to hear this from you. And I'm like, whoa, okay. And then we dug into it. But anyways, it seems like it doesn't seem you've recovered. You guys, everybody recovered from that, you know, and we all go through hard times. We talk about hard times all the time. Like, if you haven't gone through hard times, you will, and you'll transcend it.
You told on one of your podcasts, you talked about the Rebecca's "We Can Do Hard Things" story.
Yeah,
I did. You told the abbreviated version of it. It was almost accurate too. It was good.
I think I put that in my book too. I did. It's in Excommunicated Warrior. Yeah. We don't have a copy of that. Yeah. What's up?
Anyway,
with that,
you were heading down a path there. I derailed you. It seems like.
Yeah, but it seemed like that was a couple years ago, and obviously, you know, COVID took a hit to your business.
Oh yeah.
And
maybe a lot of folks, right?
Yeah. And anyways, so you are definitely, like, I feel like you're more clear.
Yeah.
This year or coming into this year.
Yeah.
Than you ever have been.
Yeah. And
like, you know what you want to do. You've got some ideas.
Yeah. And that started. So to Mario's point, Nick kind of loves you so much that he says, yeah, I think there's a Band-Aid over something that needs to be cleaned out a little deeper. And you were a piece, you know, there's a few contributing factors, right, that helped me kind of get moving again. Cause I just thought I was just stunned. I was like, I'd never even imagined being in this place. Mm-hmm. And, but this was such a good thing for me. You know, you don't ask for it, you don't want it again, but you're like in this place.
It challenges your perception.
Yeah.
It challenges your beliefs.
And it also
gets you to grow.
It also gives you compassion and empathy, because sometimes if you don't find yourself really laying down there with blood and scar tissue, you might not have the empathy for people. You might think that other people are, you need to get yourself up. You did that to yourself.
Yeah.
But sometimes life just backs over you like a freaking truck. And you're like, oh, that was unexpected. And so through, I would say, and you're very kind to say that I'm a mentor or whatever, but I through our friendship and what friends do for each other, you asked me some questions, gave me some encouragement, and some, it was love. It was accountability and love. And I got some accountability and love from Verl Workman and you know, kicking the pants from my wife. And then you just get humble and you just say, you know, you got to get up. So I set some BHAGs, some big, hairy, audacious goals.
Yeah.
And then I started working on those. I watched a podcast, and this is something I'm doing a lot in my work right now. I'm saying to people, because there's so much cynicism arriving today. Mm-hmm. People don't want to, they're not cynical, but they show up with it and they're like, and as soon as they start to feel a little hope, they shut it down. You know? Yeah. So I'm reminding people, you have to allow yourself to be inspired.
Yeah.
This is not a rah-rah motivational thing, but allow yourself to be inspired. And so I was saying, I'm going to allow myself to be inspired. And I watched Emily Blunt on a TED Talk about practice, and she talked about doing push-ups. Mm-hmm. So a lot of these little pieces came together. And so last year I set 5 BHAGs, 5 big, hairy, audacious goals to hike the John Muir Trail, 212 miles or whatever, to do 52,000 push-ups, 1,000 push-ups a week, to get this device done for this door keynote idea that I've told you about, and to get 2 books done. Those are my 5 big goals. I thought if I get these 5 things done this year, these are big things. These are hard things. And so I started doing my push-ups, and at one point I was preparing for the hike, the John Muir Trail, 212 miles. I needed to get conditioned for that. And I fell, really damaged my wrist, put me a couple thousand behind on push-ups. I thought, that's going to suck. When it starts feeling good, I'm going to have to do more. But at the end of the year, I didn't get 5 big, hairy, audacious goals done.
Yeah.
I got 3. But you tell these stories about these guys in the Agoge and what you've seen in them. And they fill me with emotion.
Yeah.
Because when you start keeping promises to yourself, there's a feeling that comes with that that's just, it's beyond words. Mm-hmm. Because when you start to keep those promises, your confidence in the way you see yourself, and the shame of like, oh, how did I find myself in that place? All that drops away, because the only thing that matters is keep those commitments you make to yourself. And then, that was the tide raises all the harbors and the ships in the harbor kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then you're keeping the promises to your kids, and you're better keeping the promises to your spouse, and all that and so last year was a really important year for me to rebuild some confidence that I thought, I can't lose that. This is who I am. But all of a sudden, where did that go? Yeah. All of a sudden you're in a rebuild. So thanks for asking me about that. And so this year, I haven't set all my goals yet. I've been thinking about it. And some of them that I thought I set, they're just not resonating as deeply. But the one that I know that I'm going to do this year is the 52,000 push-ups again. Because what I learned from Emily Blunt, who's in this TED Talk, we'll put the link
you got
in the podcast, because it's brilliant. She was talking about, she had a goal to do 100 push-ups a day. Mm. But some days she would just hit 80. And she said, as I thought about that, I thought, well, I didn't hit my 100. And somehow the 80 didn't have any value. She said, that didn't feel right to me. She said, so I stepped back from that. I set a bigger goal.
Yeah.
I said, if I look at my goal in the context of a year, then I can make up those 20 I didn't get to. In other words, don't throw away the 80. The 80 still count. We're not always going to hit it. The idea is that we're in motion and moving towards it. That's the idea. That's where the confidence comes from. And so I just thought, I'm not going to worry about whether I do 1,000 this week because I broke my wrist. I know I can get those done. So everything still counts. Would I like to not hurt as much by catching up? Sure. But everything still counts towards my goal. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so same thing with my 5 goals. Well, I didn't hit 5. Well, okay, let's talk about those 2 you didn't do. We roll those forward into 2024? I think we do.
Yeah.
What else rolls in there? And I think you're going to help me with 2 of them.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm getting at is like you corporate wise, you've crushed it. Like, I don't even have the corporate connections, and
I don't know if that's true. I think you're just engaged in a very different way. And
right, and that's kind of my point is there's so many people that have so much to gain because of what I've gained and what my employees have gained, and anybody that I've ever brought around you. It's like, can Kirk be my dad? I want Kirk. Am I?
Give me that hug, Kirk.
Bring it in.
So I think that there's a lot of people. That the ones that know you, have this in like. Can I get more from Kirk? Is there more that I can get from Kirk? More inspiration, more education, more aha moments.
Well, you're nice to say that.
And but you don't have any. Like, you've been asked that, haven't you? And
do you have a YouTube channel? Do you have a
podcast, a mentorship group?
Yeah. This is an uncomfortable conversation to have with the guy who has a pretty amazing platform.
So you don't have that. Kirk, in 2024, can we create that? Can we create a podcast? Can we create a mentorship group? Can you do something to where you give something to offer? Why haven't you done this?
Why haven't I done it? You want the big hairy excuse?
Yeah.
I look at I wish we could take this camera and pan to this room that you've created.
Yeah.
I mean, Nick, in my mind, I think to do a podcast, there's this studio, there's a Mario, there's the guy behind the, right? There's the guy behind the kid. There's the guy.
All of this is unnecessary.
In my mind, though, mind.
Not that you're unnecessary, Mario.
No, but
here we go.
In my mind, there's cameras and there's lights and there's
but not to
details.
start. Yeah.
Yeah. So the things that I'm good at, and I play to your strengths, the things that I'm good at are telling stories and taking concepts and helping them move past the head into the heart of people.
Right.
So I just said, so I got bogged down. What I didn't do was I didn't ask for the help that I needed. So part of my commitment, and you've heard this, is stop trying to figure stuff out, Kirk. There's people that already figured it out. Just hire them. I go, yeah, but I kind of like managing one and dealing with my family. Yeah, but Kirk, right? How many people have been asking? I go, well, so the answer is yes. I don't know what it looks like, but the answer is, yeah, I could discipline myself and sit down. This follow-up accelerator, committing to 6 weeks of a regular podcast, that's a pretty big
commitment. Yeah, you had to sit down and actually pick six solid dates. I had to go pick
6. When someone calls and say, Kirk, can you come on this date? Then I'm like, yeah, that date's open. I can come. That's how I've lived my life for 20 years. But no, I need to shake it up. And you're right. So yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I've had an inkling to do it, but it's just that getting in motion and not knowing what that first step is.
I mean, not only that, but like you got to think how many people, from a business standpoint, right? You have this beautiful ecosystem of people that you go meet with and these teams and everything. And just the ones that you and I have worked together. And we've got another one that we're finally getting to do together
up in Seattle
and Oregon.
Oregon. Close enough.
Same area. Same liberal area.
Not that that's a bad thing.
So I differ opinion personally, but nonetheless, it's my podcast. Well, I say whatever I want.
I guess you have listeners up there. They're probably more politically aligned. So we'll just.
I would think so. Yeah. You don't stick around this long. Those 4 people don't, or those 5 people don't stick around this long.
There's one hater up there going, I'm going to just pick apart everything. Yeah. That hater is taking notes.
Living rent free in your head.
Go ahead.
Anyways.
Yeah, we've done some programs together. So
I've seen it myself that they want kind of this more ongoing relationship with you post their training, right? And I think that you could have a lot to offer. So I think a podcast. And the reality is, Kirk, my first podcast was a phone call. I just recorded a phone call.
Really?
That was it. I just put earbuds, or I don't even think I had earbuds. I think it was like the cord.
Do you still have it? Is it in your archive?
Yeah, it's on there. It's loaded on there.
Do you have an iPhone podcast?
I have an iPhone podcast.
So you're saying there's no...
I think it was with one of them. I know for a fact one of them was with Vince Vargas. So we had I
met Vince.
Yeah.
One of your Raider project
events. Yeah. Ranger. He just came out with another book. And then there was another one, Dr. Kirk Parley was a SEAL. Just phone calls. 30 minutes.
So you just called these people up and
just recorded the thing and just launched it. Yeah.
In one sense, I'd love this idea because... I'm a little bit older than you, but I feel like sometimes I feel like I know the coolest people. I feel so lucky, so freaking blessed.
Right.
Like, how come these people talk to me? Right. Kind of that imposter syndrome. Like, why do these people like me? Because I know how I am. I know how broken I am. But there's a really, like Verl, I mean, just think of the people that we know.
Yeah.
And just to be able to unpack them a little bit and to say, share a few of your things you've acquired with, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it'd be a kick in the pants. No, I fantasize about doing a podcast, but then I see microphones and cameras, and I go, man. Then
we just talked about that. It was hesitation.
Yeah.
Why do people hesitate?
Yeah.
Yep.
Fear of failure.
So can you help me with my hesitation, Nick?
Yeah. You just want to do it right now?
Do what? Do a podcast right now?
Yeah. You just want to do a podcast?
Podcast right now. Hold on a second. Do I want to do a podcast right now?
We did the first Kirk
Weisler
podcast.
Well, what I want to do, I told you this year, I want to establish, I've been working on this project called the Initiative Institute. This whole institute, where the whole purpose of the institute is so this could be the first podcast of the Initiative Institute.
Okay.
Okay, let's do it.
Cool.
Right now. Would you be my guest? Would you be my first guest on my first podcast for the Initiative Institute?
I'd be honored.
Okay. Do Do we change chairs or anything, or do we?
You guys should switch.
We should
switch, Mario.
Do it.
Okay.
All right, we're switching.
Okay.
Just watch all the stuff. Don't trip on anything.
I'll trip over it.
We're doing it live.
We're doing it live. This is weird.
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Not to toot his horn, but he looks better in that seat than you do.
Oh, dang.
Wait, say that a little bit louder. I just want to make sure that the mic picked that up.
I think they heard that.
Okay.
But he looks better.
Okay.
My chair's more comfortable.
Oh, for sure, 100%.
Yeah, dang.
Okay, this is Kirk Weisler coming to you live from the Initiative Institute, where we seek to inspire initiative in the world around us. We're not a think tank, we're an action tank. We want to inspire you to think and act differently. So when you see something, don't just say something. When you see something, do something. And it's my privilege today to have in the studio Nick Koumalatsos. Now, Nick is here to inspire us, and he's going to inspire us by answering some questions. We're going to ask him directly about the initiative he's taken in his life. Let me give you a little background on this man. So when I met Nick, he was working with a group called the Raiders, the Raider Project, something he started, an initiative he started to help Marine Raiders and Special Operations soldiers transition from warrior life back into civilian life. But as I came to know Nick, I realized that he ran many businesses, had many, many irons in the fire. And over the course of almost the last decade, I've learned even more about this man. He's our first guest on the Initiative Institute's very first podcast. Welcome into the studio, Nick Koumalatsos. Nick, thanks for being with us.
Holy cow.
That was an intro right there.
Dude, I need to take, did you record that? Because I need to copy that.
100%.
You've been working on this for a while because that was a great intro.
And I've been thinking about it, but no, it probably needs a lot.
No, I think that we're just going to, I think we have to cut that audio and that's going to, welcome to, you just created your podcast, Kirk.
Oh, well, yeah.
Well, thanks for having me on.
It must be the chair. It must be wait. Yeah, it's the chair.
Yeah, it is. The Batman chair.
Yeah, the Batman chair.
Well, thanks for having me on.
Hey, Nick, listen, the whole purpose of the Initiative Institute is to inspire initiative, right? I think the whole world sees things that need to be done, right? And there's a lot of people that kind of bitch and moan and talk about, well, this isn't done and this is broken, and this is wrong and this is that, right?
Yeah.
And then there's those few people that see something and they immediately see an opportunity or they immediately take action.
Yeah.
And in my view, in my experience with you over this last decade, you're one of those people. And so this seems like the best opportunity to kind of kick off the Initiative Institute with you. And I just want to dial in. There's a lot of story, and maybe we'll unpack some of that. But let's start with my first experience with you.
Okay.
So I know there's a lot of businesses that you've started, a lot of things you're engaged in, but let's start with the Raider Project. I met you at a ranch, and you had a bunch of wounded warriors out there, ex-Raiders, special operations guys, and you had started this Raider Project to help them. So tell us about what you saw. What was the opportunity? What was the need that you saw? And then I want to just talk to you about why did you act? Because I'm guessing whatever problem you described didn't just pop up yesterday.
No.
So tell us about the problem. What did you see?
Man, you're taking me way back. Well, I got out of the military in 2012, and then I was going through my own transition out of the military, and which was a rocky one, which I wrote a book about called The Excommunicated Warrior, 7 Stages of Transition.
Mark, can you grab that book? Yeah. Because my listeners have not seen this book.
So these guys were, I got out, and then a lot of the guys that were on my teams or friends in the unit started to kind of trail getting out around that, anywhere from 10 to 13 years.
How many years were you in?
12.
How many tours, active tours?
7.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
I mean, not all in combat. I did some things all over the place, but I was gone a lot. Out of the entire 12 years I was in, I was gone for 6. All right. I was gone for 6 years. A handsome devil right there. My wife took both those photos.
Listen, when I saw this picture, it was a man crush moment. I was like, I don't know who he is, but I want him to like me.
So these guys started reaching out to me, and I'd done very well in the contracting world. I got out, got a job, a high 6-figure job, and was doing well for myself. And this is before the nonprofit. This was
before Raider Project.
Before the Raider Project.
So you got out, and your transition was.
I mean, on a professional basis, good. Okay. On a personal, emotional.
Okay, so as far as finding a job, and something to do with your skills, or you did
that happened.
But there's other aspects of our lives.
I was a nightmare.
In what ways? And be as raw as you want to be.
Health. My health started to decline. Mentally, I kind of started to have some issues cognitively. Some TBI stuff started to catch up.
Okay.
Spiritually was
okay. Wait, this is not a military audience, so TBI,
traumatic brain injury.
Okay, so just the concussions of the different things
over the years and things like that. Yeah.
So just hard to concentrate, hard to stay focused.
Yeah. Hormones were in the tank. Didn't realize that my testosterone level was like a 97 or something.
And that's
like
because you special operations guys, the adrenaline gets
there's a lot of different reasons.
Yeah,
your endocrine system gets with any sort of concussion, it interrupts the pituitary gland to where you're not sending the signals to your gonads to create testosterone.
And this is very common for a lot of soldiers.
Yeah. And so what happens is they just issue them SSRIs, and psych drugs and things like that are going to make you feel
even worse.
So it compounds the issue. That's why one of the reasons why I believe there's so many suicides and et cetera. So as I'm navigating all of this myself and going through this, guys were hitting me up and going, "Hey, you seem like you're doing really well."
Because you had the professional piece in place.
I'm getting paid.
Right.
And I'm not in.
You got a good job.
Yeah, exactly. So they started reaching out to me, and I said, well, you know what I'll do is let's just get together and I'll go introduce you to everybody that I know, all the VPs and the presidents and CEOs of these companies that I've exchanged with.
Okay.
And then my thought was, at the time, this is how naive I was. Hey, if I can get a guy a job making 6 figures out of the military, life's rosy, right?
Right.
That's all you need. You just need to get paid.
Yeah.
As long as you're getting paid, everything's great.
Right. Yeah. So, but that's where you were at.
That's where I was at. And
because you hadn't been totally honest with yourself yet about where you were at.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All this goes to this greater need of the Raider Project. Keep going.
So
I love this story.
So moving down the road, we start doing this, and I start taking the people to these different conferences, and we're just pulling our money. It's like, hey, I'm going to rent an Airbnb. I've got a little bit of money. We're going to split
what kind of conferences are you going to?
We went to SHOT Show because all the contractors were there and all the companies were
there. So these are places you were going to network to.
Yeah, exactly.
To make sure you still had a job.
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
And so I'm like, well, we'll just pull our money together, and I'll front everything, and we'll split it, 4 ways or 5 ways or however many people are there, and pay what you can pay. You know what I mean? If you can pay $200, pay $200. Help offset the cost. So I'm doing this for a while, and I meet Carl. I meet Carl Munger.
Carl Munger.
Yeah. And I meet Carl Munger, and he's like, what you're doing is veteran service work. And I'm like, what's that? Like
you're helping out my butts.
Yeah, you're doing VSO work I'm just helping out my dudes.
Right.
He's like, you really need to get some infrastructure under your feet and scale this so that you can help more veterans. And I was like, I like that idea.
He's with the Gallant
Few. He's
Gallant
the
Few.
executive director of Gallant Few.
So he's encouraging you to build something like he built with the Gallant Few.
So what he did was he gave me the opportunity to build the Raider Project under Gallant Few, and him kind of mentor me, and I didn't know what I was doing. You know,
right?
You were I just want to help dudes.
Okay.
And then Josh got involved. My business partner with the Agoge and former teammate, and we just really collabed on and he was going through his own transition as well. We were a mess, man. We were an absolute mess. But we were passionate about helping people. And what we started to realize was this, and through our own transition, was that, and it really just gave birth to the Agoge as well, is just because they had a job doesn't mean they were whole.
Yeah.
And they were self-sabotaging, and we'd network and get a guy a job, and next thing I know, I get a phone call and be like, he didn't show up to work, or he went and got drunk and got a DUI, and like now he's getting divorced, he lost his job, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And
they were a mess.
They were a mess. And we're like, what the heck, man?
You're making me look bad, and you look bad.
Man, like, what is going on, dude? Like, why are you doing this stuff? Why, at least why are you getting caught doing it?
Right.
And so long story short, we realized that we really needed to work on the human being. It had nothing to do with the job. If the human being was whole, if we can make the man, the interpersonal value increase, right, then his enterprise value would take care of itself. This is kind of what we'll talk about at the Entrepreneur Accelerator.
Okay.
So we started doing this kind of like, we went hippie mode. We're like, okay, screw the job. Like there's plenty of organizations out there finding guys jobs. And we found out that once guys healthy and whole, the job just kind of happened naturally. The 6-figure job just kind of came. But what about this identity piece? What about this hormone piece? What about this perspective piece? What about this growth piece? So that's how we met you. We're like, let's get into some meditation and some yoga and some traumatic, some unconventional brain.
There's still no real, have you formed the Raider Project
yet?
yet?
At this point with Josh and Carl, we formed the Raider Project. Now we're like, okay, we've got raise money.
We have a little bit of an infrastructure.
Yeah, and that's how we started doing the retreats and the climbing retreats but Josh and I, we thought this, we saw this as an issue because these people would go on these hunting trips or these retreats and there was no work being done. It was like a fun weekend.
Yeah.
It's like, I just want to give these veterans a good weekend, and make them happy.
Right.
But the problem with that is you took them away from their family, from their work. You put them back into an environment with all of their veteran friends.
Right.
And they immediately felt at home because they can say the jokes, they can be themselves, they can let their guard down, and it's completely acceptable. And they're like, yeah, this is what I want. This is where.
So maybe even more harm than good.
Well, and here's the more harm than good is they had this great weekend hunting or doing whatever they were doing, but then they go back to the same problems. And they're like, wait a minute, man. I was just feeling
when I'm with the
dudes and I'm doing this, I'm feeling really good. And when I get around my wife and my kids and my coworkers,
feeling all this pressure.
It's just garbage. Everybody sucks. So they suck, right? I'm okay. My wife and kids
must be them.
And my coworkers suck, right? It's not me.
So you and Josh saw that as well.
So we saw that these things weren't like, listen, and no, I get it. There's no offense to anybody that's trying to like take care of veterans and like do these sort of trips. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, and I understand why they're doing it. They've got a heart for it. They got a heart for it. They're just trying to provide value and to serve their community and the veteran network.
But just like the need isn't just the job.
Right.
It's bigger than the job. The need is also bigger than the retreat.
Exactly. And so Josh and I were like, okay, we can do that. We'll go do a retreat. But listen, motherfuckers are going to work. Right. And now we're on we're on a different podcast, so I guess I got to watch my language now. So you have
the initiative is too. There's no judgment.
Your editor's going to have to bleep my words. So
just talk to us. Tell us the story.
But the thing is we were like, let's do a retreat, but let's do it a working retreat, so that let's change some perspectives and give you some tools, so that when you do go back to your wife and kids and your coworkers on Monday, you have tools to solve the problems that you're facing. And that's what we did. And it wasn't, we didn't, win every time.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well,
but
you just built this from the ground up.
We just figured it out.
You got a little bit of coaching from Carl on how to do a nonprofit, but after that you're like,
and he was mentoring me and you were mentoring me on my own transition. And like, I was, my first Railroad retreat, I was stressed. Remember you were like, I was trying to like manage everything and navigate. And you told me, I'll never forget, you told me, you're like, hey Nick, if you and I go walk up this mountain. That was a beautiful hike, wasn't that? Isn't that a beautiful hike up that mountain over the overlook? Yeah. Is the world going to stop spinning? And I think I gave some smart ass answer, like, well, obviously not.
Well, I remember because all the guys were out. They were doing their yoga, horses, fishing, shooting guns, and you're in there on your laptop.
I'm working.
What are we doing tonight? And I'm like, I don't know. This guy needs to go for a walk. And I felt drawn to you. So, okay.
So anyway, you took me on that walk. And, you said, you were like, was the world going to stop turning? And I was like, okay, obviously not, Kirk. The world's going to keep turning if I stop working. You're like, well, let's just go. Let's go for a walk. And I think you listened to me bitch for about an hour. I don't think you said 2 words.
I don't remember that. I just remember a great walk.
It was a great walk. Yeah.
All right. So I want to bring this back to initiative. So you saw this need.
Mm-hmm.
You began to kind of take a closer look at yourself and say, what do I really need? What's really happening in here? You wrote this book. You really tried to break it down so that you could give these 8 principles? 7 principles to other people going through transition. I remember you telling me, the Marine Corps makes really great warriors, but they don't make great civilians.
Nor is it their responsibility to do so.
Nor is it their responsibility. Mm-hmm. So you said, but these guys need help. And what's currently there isn't helpful, and it's not enough. So I'm going to do what I can. At one point, I think you were running 7 separate businesses.
Yes.
And you explained to me that most of these were to help fund the Raider project because you hadn't figured out how to get all the funding done there. So you really believed in this.
Yeah. So each one of my businesses, you can do business corporate donations. So obviously our CPA was like, yeah, if you write this off, it's a deduction.
Right.
So I was like, okay. So I got with every one of my business partners and I was making sure that you're clear. I'm like, you're okay by doing this. And we just cut monthly donation checks to the Raider Project.
And you probably maxed them out, I bet.
Yeah. I tried. I think it was like 6,000 or something. You need to be 6,000 a year or something like that to make it work. So we did.
I've been on a couple of these with you.
Yeah.
Right. The one we took up in the mountains where it just rained cats and dogs.
We got water. Yeah.
Is your tent full of water?
It's a great trip though.
Is your tent full of water? Yeah, mine too. Okay.
Yeah. When you're literally your thermarest is you're floating. You're floating in your own tent. That's a great trip.
It was a great trip.
Yeah.
Okay. So you just, but again, our point is, here's this thing. These guys are struggling. You saw some of your community, they were gaining weight. They were getting on alcohol. They were getting on drugs. And like, these were some high operators.
Yeah.
These were some of the best.
Yeah.
These guys would go behind lines and do hard missions that most of the world wouldn't do.
Yeah.
But they don't know how to take all those skills and training and become great fathers, husbands, and civilians.
And to be real, like I didn't have it either. Like I was still a mess too. So what I was doing was I was seeking out people that really had it. I was facilitating. I was using myself as a guinea pig, going through different therapies and training and different that. And honestly, I didn't even think that I needed it to be honest.
Sure, because
I was just doing it to make sure that it was legit, so that my guys could, I'm not going to give something to my guys
that I haven't tried.
And I went through it, and I was like, oh man, this is like, and they're like calling me out. They're like, Nick, you're really jacked up. I'm like, oh, okay.
Take some notes here, bro.
Take some notes here, bro. Yeah, and honestly, that facilitated my own growth, and that's facilitated my own healing, and it facilitated my transition even faster. Because I kind of use myself as a guinea pig, and yeah, like for instance, the brain clinic that I went to. I ever tell you about that?
No, tell us the brain clinic.
So I went to the brain clinic, and I met this doctor at a SOCOM Care Coalition thing with Carl.
Okay,
and I was like, dude, this is amazing. Like this is an amazing thing that they have going on for vets, the Brain Institute thing. And anyways, so I filled this thing out to get more information, and it had a bunch of questions. Like he gave me this thing, and I'm like, yeah, cool. I'm going to fill this out. And it had a bunch of like a questionnaire about myself.
Right.
But I was just inquiring. I was doing it to inquire
how this works.
So
I could tell my guys.
So that I could tell my guys. They called me, and they were like, hey, Nick, can you get here? Can you get here on Monday? We have a course that we want to put you through. And I'm like, no. I don't think, guys, sorry. It's a misunderstanding.
I'm good.
I was thinking, and they're like, so they started asking me a series of questions, and they're like, yeah, we'd really like you to come in on Monday for a 2-week inpatient brain clinic treatment. Anyways.
Did you go?
Yeah, I went, and I was super, super jacked up. I didn't even know how jacked up I was until afterwards. Because I hadn't slept, so this was 2014. I hadn't slept. I hadn't slept
since 2011.
It was 2009. Yeah, I hadn't slept really like a real good sleep since 2009. And
that jacks your brain.
Yeah, and then so in 2014, when I went to the brain clinic, while I was there, was the first time I had ever slept 8 hours since 2009.
That was a wake up, wasn't it? Like, whoa.
And anyways,
your body was probably like, whoa, cool.
Yep.
Okay, so I want to explore more of your personal stories, but I want to also keep us focused on initiative. So let's talk about, so there was this need. You didn't fully understand it, but you still knew there's something needed to be done, and you started doing it.
Yeah.
That's initiative. We see something that needs to be done, and we take action. We do it without being asked. We go, well, I can do something, and so you started doing it. And then along the way, we get better at doing it. We learn more about what we're doing and how to do it better. Okay, is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay, so you also run a very successful program called the Agoge.
Yeah.
Am I saying it right?
The Agoge.
Agoge. Now, the first time I heard that, I was watching
300,
right?
Yeah.
The Spartans, this is how they abused each other, right? This is how they got tough and got hard and began their journey.
Yeah.
So what was the need that you saw? And how did the initiative of the Agoge, because there was no Agoge before you started it.
Right.
So what was the need that you saw that you believe the Agoge initiative would solve?
So because of what I was doing, and like you said, the more I poured into myself, the more that I leaned into growth and really became a master of some of these concepts.
Right.
Other men, I would talk about them on social media. Like the podcast started, like obviously all the businesses need marketing. So I just talked about these concepts publicly. Men started reaching out to me and doing the same thing, wanting the same thing. I got myself fit. You remember that.
Yeah.
Like I went through that whole transition,
Yep.
got in incredible shape, kind of in touch with my kind of warrior roots, if you will.
Yeah.
Of who I was in the military.
Right.
And I kind of had to say this thing as like, so in the military, you guys are all these warriors and these badasses and you'll never let the enemy get you. And then all of a sudden, civilian life is your kryptonite. That's what crushes you.
Right.
You can't hack civilian life.
Yeah.
Like I'm not buying it, man. So I kind of took the same concept of how we defeated the enemy, how we win, our warrior culture, the never quit kind of attitude, and I just brought that into myself. And I got fit, and then because I got fit, guys started asking me like, "What
are you doing?
What are you doing?" And I said, "You know what? I'm gonna run this. I'm gonna run this challenge, this like 3-month challenge." And I brought on some people. And
so the vision was just 3 months challenge. The vision was like, I'm going to create a long program for the next one.
No business, no anything like that. No, I'm just going to create a challenge.
People are asking me.
Yeah, people are asking.
There's a need.
Yep.
Okay.
And I just paid attention to that. And I always believed, in business, I was like, your customers will tell you what the product needs to be.
Yeah.
They will. If they're asking for you,
right,
they will tell you what the product needs to be. And if you get enough repeat ask, it's like,
there it is. Yeah.
Knock, knock. As something like I was telling you earlier in the other podcast.
Yeah,
what I mean?
Which is why we're doing this podcast.
So anyways.
It's starting to come home a little bit.
Yeah.
Is this part of your evil plan? He's driving this home. Okay.
So we created the thing called Surviving the Cut, and it was a 3-month thing. And ironically enough, one of our coaches was in that Surviving the Cut. That's where they started. And they're still with the Agoge today. And they went through as a client for years.
Right.
And then they got to a point where we actually brought him on as our first coach outside of Josh and I. And so we did the Surviving the Cut. It was like really rudimentary, really raw,
right?
Really really fitness and macronutrient based.
Right.
We did a second one. I think we might have even done a third one. And then the next year, and we skip quarters. We do like one a quarter, then we skip a quarter and do another one.
Right.
And we March of 2020. Okay. We said, you know what? This is going so well. Let's do this for real. So we launched a online fitness and nutrition company, Josh and I, called the Agoge. And the reason why we called it the Agoge was we just felt, we looked at and this is before the whole COVID nonsense started happening, right?
Okay.
But we looked at the state of men across the board and we were like, something has to change.
Yeah.
We need to take men, put them back into an environment of learning and growth and making men again.
Yeah.
This obesity rate, the heart disease rate, all this stuff. It's just crazy. And it's all, 100% systematically planned to demasculate men, to pacify them, to get them fat, sick, and dependent, right? And we saw this. And so we started this online thing, and obviously COVID happened, and so online training kind of blew up. We're like, phew. So we had all this opportunity because the gyms got shut down, my gym got shut down, the rate got raided, et cetera. And at the same time, ironically enough, we started the Agoge Online's platform. And but guys were not really hitting their metrics. They weren't getting their workouts in. They weren't hitting their macros. They had a ton of excuses. And Josh and I looked at each other and we're like, it's the same freaking problem. It's they didn't have a fitness and nutrition problem. They had a problem with the space between their ears. So it's like, we have to attack this. If we want this to be successful, we got to fix the root cause, which is their mindset, their perception. And it was the same thing. You have grown men going, my wife sucks, my kids suck, they're always nagging me. It's like, no, dude, you suck. you haven't kept your promises. You're lazy. You don't help. You know what I mean? You're not serving your family. You're just taking. And he's like, but I provide the paycheck. And I was like, guess what? They don't really care about that. They just want dad to be on the nest with the wings over, protecting them and be there.
Yeah.
And to be integrated with the family.
Yeah. Don't be a poolside dad. Get in the water. Get in the water, dude.
Get in the water. Yeah. And so we realized that. And so we started doing the mentorship program side, where we started bringing in the Agoge and doing Zoom calls and meeting. And I started teaching on the concepts that I talk about on social media, but in a more calculated, direct manner and an engagement, right? Like,
so you just said we've got to have an education. We have to have an
education piece. We got to change their perspective. We got to give them clarity. We got to create vision. And when that happened, that's when the game changed. That was when the game changed.
So your first Agoge, how many people for your first 90-day challenge?
Oh man, I don't know. 50.
Okay. And second one, about the same?
No, it went up to like 100, and then it was like 200, and
then if you would say now, including, well, maybe let's exclude. When you went to this new model, how many men have you had in your program?
Oh, thousands.
Yeah,
we've changed thousands of lives at this point.
So today, you and I were talking about.
It's not enough. Obviously, it's not enough. No, it's not a drop in the bucket.
Today, I want our viewers to know where to go. So today, you were showing me some clips. They were on Instagram. Mm-hmm. So if I go to Instagram, what do I type in to find?
You can do mine or the Agoge.
Okay, so Nick Koumalatsos or just
the Agoge.
The Agoge?
The Agoge.
Agoge on Instagram, and just watch these videos of these men and they're just right there. It's not some big before-after hero thing. It's these men talking about how their mind changed and their bodies changed and their relationships changed, and they're telling their stories. And I found myself really drawn in. So I just go there and check these out. They're very worthwhile. So you, as you were showing me these, you were like a proud father, right? You were like a proud father because you're like, Kirk, I know this guy. This guy was 2'4". This guy lost 40 pounds. This guy lost 100 pounds.
Yeah.
This guy in 3 years did this. But then you didn't say, but it wasn't about the weight. You said, this guy's running 3 businesses right now. This guy's business has quadrupled. And you were directly linking the Agoge, which an outsider would say this is a physical fitness program, to their life was enhanced.
Yeah, read this. I just got this text before.
Okay.
I just got this text before.
Read it.
And this is starting out with. No, I want you to read it.
Oh, okay.
I got this text right before the podcast.
Okay, so this is Nick. My net income to myself was over $700K before I take my car, etc. That's more than double. Who the hell am I? And that's from Charlie.
Yeah.
Wow, that's more than double. And
yeah.
So, but this,
and that's like,
but
over 100 pounds lost.
That's an echo of every story you told me today. And that was just a small fraction of this thousands of people that you've helped with this Agoge. So there was
that goes back to what I was saying before with anything. It's a human being condition. It's a human being problem. When you fix yourself, when you fix your internal value, your enterprise value naturally goes up. You know, and we talk, Nick Long talks a lot about the business. He's one of the guys that we work with, but he talks a lot about the business man versus the business plan. Like the business man has to be like a full up round. He has to be.
You said something earlier today. The business plan, as good as it is,
it ain't shit without the business man. So the business man needs to get his shit together, and then he'll figure out the business plan, and they'll be successful.
So
regardless.
This Agoge thing is not a body; it's a life transformation.
It's a whole.
It's a vehicle for a life.
It's a tribe.
A fundamental.
We've created a cult.
Yeah,
we really have.
But it's transformational.
Transformational.
It's not transactional. It helps people change.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to get one more story in. So we could talk about the gym that you bought, the shipping company that you bought and ran. We could talk about
coffee company.
We could talk about the coffee company. Hold on, let me see what I remember. You did personal security, like really wealthy people hire you to go travel with them. I think that's a great gig.
Yeah.
I guess if you have to protect them, maybe not. But you do personal coaching, very high end, like lots and lots. Like people pay tens of thousands of dollars in multiples to have you as a personal coach for a year.
Well, if they want to get rich.
If they want to, oh, we're going to triple your income. I promise. And then he delivers.
That's what been trying to do with Kirk for a long time.
Just Kirk, if you'll actually give people some value, like do a podcast. So you're not going to let it go. So I'm doing it right now, for goodness sake. Okay, but I'm here at Johnny Slicks. So Johnny Slicks, can I share the numbers that you did last year?
Yeah.
Johnny Slicks did 4 million plus in sales last year.
4.5, over 4.5.
You've got a goal this year to triple that.
Double
that. Okay, to double that.
We'll be an 8-figure business this year.
Okay, so to double that, but that's this is a very curious story to me because nowhere on your path of firearms training and all the different things that you've bought and done along the way, all these initiatives. Then all of a sudden, there's this hair company, right? Right? But not only that,
we sell soap.
we sell coffee. I get coffee, like coffee. Warriors need coffee. Right. Warriors need guns. Right? I get secure. I don't get hair products.
Yeah.
So, but that wasn't your baby. That was some other soldier.
That was John's. Yeah.
But you saw something and said, "No, there's a bigger opportunity here." Yeah.
I knew how big it was, but I didn't realize how big it was going to be. I saw a product. He gave me the product.
At the time, it was just him, right? There was one guy.
It was just the dude.
Named Johnny.
Yeah, just John.
Is he here today?
He's in there.
Do you think, can we?
You want to get him?
Because if we can get both these guys to tell this story, this would be a good closing story. We're inspiring people to take action today.
Yeah.
Right? They've got ideas. They see a need. Don't just see it. Do it. Do something. So you saw a need and did something, and it's become something amazing. So I want to explore what you saw. Where did it come from? And why you took action instead of just saying, "Well, this sucks."
Okay, so he messaged me, and then we'll let the man talk. But
okay,
he messaged me like a million times on Instagram. You know, at the time, I was like getting hit up by a lot of companies to do advertising and different things on social media.
Because you were starting to tell your story, and people were like,
exactly, yeah.
Okay.
And anyway, so finally he got through, and then I got the product, and I immediately was like, "This is $1 million product, like 100%." It was mind blowing.
This was the beard oil.
It was pomade. It was pomade and one beard oil.
Yeah.
It was 2 pomades.
Pomade and a couple beard oil. Okay.
Pomade and a beard oil.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you were like 2 different kinds of pomades.
Yeah. And you were like,
well, 2 fragrances.
This is good.
Oh my God, it was amazing.
Okay.
And I was like, this is literally $1 million product. What I didn't realize, okay, at the time, this is what I didn't realize, and this is where and like what we talked about on the last podcast we just finished, right? Was the effect to America and creating American jobs and to creating a product that really makes people healthier and safe.
So that wasn't a part of it at the time. You
Initially, that was not the part of it. It was just like, oh my God, it's a phenomenal product. This is a more superior product than anything on the market. This is the thing. This is $1 million by itself. It's $1 million product minus, outsourced to everybody and then and then sell the product. But I didn't realize the heart of what it was going to turn into. That's what I did. And I'll give credit where credit's due. Like John probably saw that before I did. He really had a big heart for America and for American manufacturing and American jobs. And yeah.
Okay, there's a theme here that I just want our listeners to be aware of. So in every story that we've explored today, there was this need that was seen. There was an action that was taken, but it wasn't comprehensive. It wasn't like anyone even saw the true potential. But as we begin to move forward, we begin to see more clarity, and we begin to act more confidently, and then we realize that we're more of that potential. So we're just unleashing this unlimited potential. So now, Johnny, let's go to you and hear the story, because you were like this warrior too, right? You like I don't know how does a warrior become a shampoo? I don't. Get us there. So we talked about
to shampoo connoisseur.
We talked about him transitioning out and everything. Yeah. So you served where?
In the Marine Corps.
I was in the Marine Corps. How many years?
4 years.
4 years.
Yep. And that's when
that's when everything happened. So I did a deployment overseas, and I hung out with EOD guys and sniper dudes, and I didn't know though all those guys care so much about their hair. Like they care a lot about their hair.
Okay.
And so I got introduced into that community, and I was growing my hair out like John Basilone, like from the 1940s. I had a nice pompadour over, and so I became prideful with my hair as well. And we used to have like,
because hair was the thing there with this group.
It was the hair, and,
special operations, special hair.
It was wild. Yeah, we took time out of our day to do our hair.
It's one of the things wild. Okay, I love it. So
we had hair competitions, who had better hair, and it was wild.
I love that.
However, though, the thing I didn't know at the time is the products we were using to make our hair look good was just absolutely filled with chemicals, and that's what led to, in 2015, I was getting ready to start transitioning out of the Marine Corps. And I jumped down off of a loading dock on base, and one of my buddies said, "Oh, your hair's thinning, ha ha ha!" And I thought he was joking. It wasn't. I took it as a joke, but I went home and I looked in the mirror, and my hair, I could actually see my scalp through my hair. So I started to panic because all these guys, we take our hair very seriously, and now I'm never going to win who's got best hair today because I'm going bald. I checked my genetics, and my hairline's fine. I checked my diet. Everything was fine. I exercised often. I drank a ton of water. It was nothing like that. And then for some reason, it clicked, and I was like, let me just flip it over real quick and see what's in this thing that I'm lathering my scalp in 8 times a day. Right. And there was nothing on there that I can read other than water. So I was like, let me look at some of these ingredients, methylchlorazine 8. Let me look at that real quick. What is that? Where is it made? And what does it do to my body? Because
we all look at the ingredients, but like we're doing something, but we don't have any idea, and we don't do what you just did, that Google. Extra step.
Look at that. Look at that photo of him.
Let me see this thing.
What photo is it?
It's the one you're talking. It's the one like.
Oh, look at this.
That's a handsome, looks like the guy from the 40s, right?
Yeah, I have my hair like that.
Smoking a cigar, and
dude,
that was the style.
Can we get this on there? I don't know if we can get this on there.
You can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Go ahead.
So I looked at the ingredients, and I was like, I don't want any of this on me. I don't want anything that's in my household anymore. My shampoos, we were just bathing ourselves in it.
And again, a chemical warfare kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And, as I was transitioning out of the Marine Corps, I couldn't really find work that well. So hair was my passion at the time. I was an armorer, so I worked on guns, and then I did my hair. It was wild. It was like a weird.
That's not a typical combination, probably.
Yeah, it was wild. Yeah. But I got out, and or I was transitioning out, so I wanted to go to barber school. I thought that was my passion. Hair was my passion, and the only industry with hair is barbering.
Okay.
So I was like, and I had the style. I had the old school style. I wanted to do old school barbering. And while I was in barber school, I found myself not on the cutting floor at all, cutting hair. I found myself reading about chemistry and products and all this, hair anatomy, scalp anatomy, muscles, all this stuff, aromatherapy. And I ended up leaving barber school and just saying to myself, what if I can make a product that doesn't have chemicals and can essentially reverse the effects of what these chemicals are doing to me? My hair was thinning really bad. I don't want to be a thinning hair barber. Like, I don't want to be a guy giving hair advice, but also balding. That doesn't really work.
Yeah, my last haircut was from a bald guy, and I didn't know what to think about it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
so,
sure
but what the hell makes you think that you can make shampoo?
I didn't know anything about it at all.
But this just began to be in your mind.
Yeah. I couldn't afford anything. I was transitioning out of the Marine Corps, and they don't give you like a big fat paycheck for leaving them. Right. So money was definitely an issue. But in my mind, I was like, I can't really afford these like big time hair rejuvenation products that are being sold, Rogaine, all these things that are being sold for hair restoration. I couldn't afford them. So I was like, well, it's organic. Essentially, I should just be able to make it myself, right? Like if we flash back 2,000 years.
Totally makes sense, right?
What's the difference?
Organic means,
It's just found in nature. I didn't go in my backyard like picking grass and stuff. I went online and I found some beeswax and a bunch of different oils. Threw them in a pot, turned the oven on, the stovetop, and it just like caught fire. Like everything just caught fire. I didn't know anything about anything at all.
I think we have some pictures like somewhere in the archive.
What?
Of
so this is your first. Wow, I'd never heard this.
And I was like,
and
okay,
his wife. Hold on, his wife is not there.
Yeah, she was, and she worked double shifts at Chuck E. Cheese as a manager.
So she's gone. He's burning the kitchen down.
I'm trying to burn the kitchen up,
making some hair product.
But essentially, what I wanted a product that worked, and I didn't really know where to start. Other than I gathered all the products I use that were filled with chemicals, and I just literally, if I could pronounce it and like I know what it is, beeswax, water, oil. I just wrote it down on a list, and I had a huge list. I just started buying those with whatever I could. We sold a bunch of stuff, garage sales, plasma, all that stuff. To buy these ingredients, And I just kept doing it. Just kept trying to put them in a pot and
You
turn it on
sold
and burn them.
plasma, blood plasma?
Yeah.
You were absolutely committed to this.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to find a solution. I wanted to be able to be self-sufficient with the solution, with creating a solution that I found a problem. And I know thinning hair is like a pretty big problem for people, but a lot of people don't talk about it. And I was one of those people. I just wanted to solve it on my own. I didn't want to involve anybody. I didn't want to take.
Most people just go to Amazon and order that thing that makes the promise.
Yeah, and that's not really how I wanted to do it. So I just wanted to find a solution for myself. So I ended up just buying all these ingredients. It didn't work out. I kept catching fires everywhere, and luckily I rented. I didn't own the house, so there's like a black spot on the ceiling from the burn. But I ended up shortening the list. I was like, what is the point here? Isn't the point simplicity? It should be simple. Let me just do 5 ingredients. I was doing like 30, 40 ingredients because that's the lists that we're all used to.
Yeah.
So I thought that's what had to go in there. That's not the case at all. That's the opposite. So I just bought like 5 or 6 ingredients: tea tree oil, argan oil, things that you find anywhere and natural. Bought them, put it in a pot. Lo and behold, it didn't catch fire because these are stable ingredients. And finally, I poured it out, and I had like a terrible looking product. And I still have the product in a jar. I don't want to open it. I'm scared to open it. It's like glue. Yeah. But I had a working thing.
Is it the one on the?
Yeah, I have it framed. Like on
I
my
love
wall.
it. I love it. Okay.
I had a working thing, so I started just putting it in my hair, and I could feel like the tingling, the sensations from the tea tree oil, and the moisturizing effects from the jojoba oil, and all these things. But it just didn't like feel right. It was chunky. It was just gross, you know. Yeah. So I started using these like terrible products that was just like burning up on my stovetop. And then all of a sudden, I look in the mirror, and my hair is not. I can't see my scalp anymore, and I'm talking like maybe 3-4 weeks later, like quick.
Right.
And then I'm like, it started to really work that this is a thing that I could actually be doing for myself. Like I just solved my own problem. That's wild.
Because you removed all the bullshit from your body.
Everything. Yeah. And I didn't know it at the time, but I was trying to create something based off of a flaw. I was trying to create a solution based off of the problem. And that's not really where it needs to go. I was trying to make a product that was similar to a flawed product. But if you copy a flawed copy, it's going to be flawed.
Yeah.
So I just needed to ditch that, find the flaws, do the opposite, and I found the solution that way. And it started working for me. And because I was in the barber industry, I went into the barber. You know, I had a couple of them made. And I went in there and I found out like 80% of these dudes have thinning hair or at least some sort of dry skin irritation that they're dealing with. And I talked to the barbers and I was like, hey, don't you guys want your clients to like have faster growing hair and have longer hair over time for clientele? And they were like, yeah, that makes sense. So I started using it in the barber industry, started giving it to barbers to give to their clients so their hair would grow faster. It doesn't make sense to put chemicals on your client because then the client's going to go bald and you're not going to be a necessity for them anymore. Right. Finally had a final product, went there, it started working for people. Growing their hair back as well, and it actually like the fragrance. I was really good with fragrance, aromatherapy. I'm really good with smells, so that's a good seller as well. A lot of chemicals smell really bad, so it gets masked with other chemicals. It's just wild. They just stack it. But it came down to I had a problem, and I just decided to find a solution for it, and it worked for me.
So that wasn't the vision. There wasn't. I'm going to start a shampoo.
Absolutely not. No, I had no clue.
It was just like I was like, I just need to fix this.
Yeah.
And then, but other people have this too.
Yeah.
But your first thing was, I don't want to cry about this. I don't want to be I'm balding. I want to do something.
Yeah.
So the initiative was, here's this. I took the initiative. I'm going to build this. It wasn't easy.
Yeah.
It wasn't a first time win.
No, I Googled how to file bankruptcy at 21 or 22 because
because you went through stuff, and you're selling blood plasma to
we sold plasma twice a week. Rebecca and I, we both don't like. I don't know anyone who likes plasma and those needles, but it's a pretty big gauge needle. I have a scar on my arm. Yeah. We donated twice a week. We had garage sales every weekend.
What's crazy? It's not even that much money. How much are you getting for per donation?
Oh yeah, they give you like $35.
Right.
Every donation.
So but every dollar counts. Yeah. You're young. You're right. You're trying to get this done.
Eating ramen noodles. I worked at a gas station and I worked the midnight shift, so nobody was ever there. I'd walk the parking lot and pick up change to put gas in my car to go drive someplace. You know, it was hard. Yeah.
Wow.
It was long and difficult.
So initiative isn't easy. It's not a quick fix. It takes work. We don't see the full vision when we get started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. But if we take action, action brings about its own results, right? We begin to move closer to doors we didn't see before, and they begin to open. How did you interface with this guy? How did you?
It was about when I gave up. I was like coming to a point where I was like, there's no more money. I'm Googling how to file bankruptcy. Like, I don't know what to do. It's just Rebecca and I down here in North Carolina. Our families are like up in PA. So it's
Your car got repoed, right?
My car got repoed. I had 2 charged off credit cards. My electric got turned off. My phone got turned off. And I got nothing else to sell. Like, I'm tapped. Like, I got no more blood left.
Wow.
And it got down to a point where I was like, I think I woke up one morning and saw a post on Instagram about a guy who had a really big beard. And he was like, I just won 5th place in a beard competition. I was like, beard competition? That's a thing? I was like, so I was like, I wonder if I can like just reach out to some of these beard comp guys and just give them product and have them take a photo of their beard with my product. Maybe I can use that to make a couple sales on Instagram, you know? I reached out to 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place. Luckily, I think it was 3rd place. He ended up saying, our beards are way too big. Like, you're definitely not in the right realm. Like, you know, it cost me like $5 to make a little bottle, and I was selling it for 10. Like, nowhere margin wise, I could sustain these guys. They have massive beards. They would need like 50 bottles a week. But 3rd place, he ended up saying, hey, I know a guy. He's a Marine as well, and I'm pretty sure he's right down the street from you. So he's pretty well known. You should just reach out to him. And I was like, cool, show me his name. And it was this guy. And he was like, reach out to Nick K. So I just reached out to him on Instagram multiple times, and the 3rd place winner, he was like, it's going to take a minute to get to him. You got to get through his people, you know? And I was like, oh, man, I got to do more work? What are you talking about? Nah, it was fine. So I reached out to him, and it was like 6 or 7 times. I messaged him, and no reply. Finally, he was live on Instagram, and Allie was reading like the comments, and I was like, hey, I'm literally
I remember
like,
that we were in the truck, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I'm literally right up the road, man. Like, I don't want to burden you. Let me just drop a box off real quick. And then finally he was like, yeah, fine, drop it off. So I took like 3 hours to put together, I think it was like 4 pomades of the same type. I put them all in a row, like made it really presentable.
He did. He made that a nice box,
Yeah.
and with the dividers and everything.
Yeah,
and put it all
I
in
went
there.
to Staples. This is how I did things. I went to Staples and had them open a project, because they manage projects there, to put my logo, this logo, on a piece of paper that says Johnny Slick's
Yes,
beard oil.
that's right.
I put the fragrance description, how to use it. Like, I created like a little guide, and I put it there. I dropped it off. And Rebecca and I, it was our anniversary. It was 6 years ago, like today, 6 years ago. We were driving down to Wilmington right here. And then on the way there, he's like, hey, I just got in the office. It was rainy. They were trying to shoot a vlog or some video. We got back to the office. You want to come around? So Rebecca and I turned back around, and we came up here, got to meet him. And then he asked me the most like cringy question to the day. He said, what's your infrastructure? And like I don't know what I'm doing, like, at all. Like,
Infrastructure.
oh, what the hell's an infrastructure, man? So I said, I got a not-frastructure. And he loved it. But it was so embarrassing. I didn't know, like, it's a room of these guys, these big business guys, and I'm just a guy that makes beard oil and pomade. Like, I don't know. My hair is just growing back now. I don't have an infrastructure. What are you talking about?
I'm broke. I don't know what's going on.
I sell plasma, and I make this stuff in my kitchen in my house that I can't afford. Like, this is not, I don't have an infrastructure. That's the opposite of what I got. But then he said, let me try it out. Let me see what it's like. He posted a video on Instagram or on YouTube. Yeah. And I got a ton of hits on that. And I was like, this is it. I'm back in business. But then it was like 2 weeks. It was like, 2 weeks later. Yeah. He called me on, I think you texted me on Instagram and said, text me your number or something like that. Yeah. And he called me, and he's like, hey, man, we got to sit down and talk. Like, this is some good stuff. So we sat down at Chipotle, and we partnered. And he was like, this is $1 million product. And I was like, this is a product that just saved my hair. But if you say so, let's go. Because I don't know sales. I just figured this
He had no website. He had nothing.
I bought the URL though.
He did buy the URL, which I was super stoked about.
Yeah, but I bought it from a guy who bought it from another guy who bought it from GoDaddy, who bought it from somebody.
But it was like urlfish.com.
Yeah. I bought it for like $130 too or something. Like, I bought it at barber school. I was like, this is available? That's cool. How do I buy this? Yeah, I bought it from like
And you had the Instagram name, obviously. Yeah. So it was.
So I had just the beginnings.
Okay.
Sprinkled.
So your initiative was just to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And then in the creation of that, right? It wasn't easy. Now you've got this product that works. Now you're like, man, this didn't just work for me. Now you've got other people it's working for, but you have no market. You have no, so you needed a partner.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, but then you took this another initiative. You could have dropped it by and said, told the sad story, but you said, no, I'm gonna package this thing. I want to, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna sell some blood, give a nice packaging.
I did actually do that. I did actually go to the plasma center to afford the.
Because they give it a card.
The Staples package.
They give you they don't give you cash. They give you like a card.
It's like an ATM card. Yeah. So I used that at Staples to buy like really nice craft paper
to
do the drop off.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
This is the most amazing story. Okay, so again, the whole purpose of the Initiative Institute is to inspire initiative. It's hard for me to imagine hearing the story and not being inspired. Now, whether you have thinning hair or whatever it might be, right? There's something in all of our lives that we know we need to do, that we can do, but we've been whining and complaining and blaming someone else for it, right? And we just need to just get up and get going.
Yeah.
And the promise of that, I think, has been illustrated in all the stories we've shared today on the Initiative Institute podcast, is that once we get moving, things begin to happen, and that are beyond our current imagining. Right?
Yeah.
That are beyond our current imagining. And then it's not miracles because you guys have worked really hard. So this was 6 years ago because you remember it was your anniversary. So are you saying today's your anniversary?
Yesterday was.
Yesterday?
11 years.
Congratulations on that. So 11 years ago for you and Rebecca, 6 years ago for you and Nick, he's my man crush too, but I mean, we can share him. That's fine.
Man.
So, and then, tell us just quickly, and this is not to do with initiative, but I think it's a neat story. So in 6 years, Johnny Slicks went from being something you cooked in the kitchen funded by blood plasma to where are you at today and where do you want to be? Because I understand you guys have a big, hairy, audacious goal for this year. Yeah. So what happened in 2023? Johnny Slicks went from 0, 1 employee, partnership to how many employees? How many in 2020? How many employees did you have in 2020?
2020, we had 6, I think. We hired 12 in 2023. Yeah, 2023 is pretty big. Okay. I think it came down to him and I being such a dualistic couple.
Right.
He is so like headstrong, goal-setted, and just do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like off in fairyland, like thinking about what's next? Like, what's the next vision? What else can I create? You know?
Right.
Having the pair of these two type of people is impossible to break. Like it is so
crucial for growth.
It very is crucial.
You have to have both personalities.
So when because if it was up to me, I'd be in my kitchen creating nonstop.
Okay,
that's not sustainable.
But I just want our listeners to understand. I just want to tell a little bit more of the Johnny Slicks story. So you went from the two of you, and then in 2020, which is 3 years ago, really, it's 2024, but it's still 3 years ago. So we're still in January, 2020, starting 2020. So
these are my answers. I'll give you the answers.
Go ahead.
Questions. So
in 2020, where were you in 2020? 6 people, 8 people.
What year?
We had 6. We had 6. Yeah, we started in 2018 with us.
18.
So a couple years later, you had
2020. We became a 7-figure business.
Okay.
And we had, like you said, it's about 6 people. I think. Yeah.
Okay. And then 2023, you have the books for last year. 2023.
This is what happened. This is what happened in 2023. 2020 was a huge year for us. We sat down and we said we were going to skip COVID.
Okay.
So everything was happening with the gym and we didn't know what was going on. You know what I mean? So John and I sit down and we just like made the decision that we were just going to skip it.
We're not doing COVID. We're
not doing COVID. We're just
we had a list of expenses and we were like, what could we afford to lose? And then it was like, how about none?
We just decided that we're just not going to participate.
We don't do anything and we just
do
more
us
of what we're doing already.
Okay.
Yeah. And
so you guys really leaned in. I remember some of the videos you created.
Yeah, there was a lot of manufacturing issues that he had to navigate.
A lot of shortages and
because
bottles and
the stuff that you were getting.
Hand sanitizer, people were buying up all the bottles and selling it and trying to make money off of that. And so we had to pivot a couple things. But here really that was the first we just decided to skip it and we had an intentional very big year that year.
Fantastic.
And then we just kind of doubled down on it every year from then. And as we grew, I as kind of the the integrator for Johnny Slicks, I just got very intentional about the growth, the setting the rocks, setting the business, setting the goals,
right?
Back utilizing what I do in business and what I do with coaching,
right?
And I just coached ourselves. We just what do I tell everybody else,
right? So
we're gonna do that same thing for Johnny Slicks, and then last year, really the biggest thing that I don't know if I was on autopilot, if I was burnt out. I don't really have a great answer for what happened in 2022, and maybe nothing. Maybe it was just nothing. But I didn't feel that we had the growth that the company was like what I talked about earlier about the what really Johnny Slicks is.
Right.
We don't just sell soap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's way bigger than that. And I feel like I did it as a leader. I did it a disservice. So in this room right here, December of 2022, I said, guys, I apologize as a leader. I just feel like I let you guys down. They didn't agree, but I felt that was my.
I could have brought more to the table.
I could have brought more to the table, right? I could have been more intentional. I could have provided more clarity. I could have, you know what I mean? All the things that I expect of myself.
Right.
And so I said, this is what we're going to do in 2023, and everybody was like, "Woo, okay!" And they're all on. Everybody's like, "Let's do it." I'm like, and they knew that 2023 was going to be a freaking roller coaster of a ride. Like they knew that it was going to be.
Did you guys, Johnny? Did you guys hit your goal?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We overdid it. Yeah.
So you surpassed your goal.
But my point to that is there was no guesswork involved.
It wasn't just like let's wake up and sell stuff.
Yeah, like
it was how much do we need to sell next month.
It was everything was very strategic. So there was no guessing of what we needed to do every day. There was no guessing what each employee needed to do, each team member that needed to do. Like everybody had clarity. Everybody knew what the goal was. We constantly gave updates. They get daily updates. So there's no guesswork.
It was all
and we just crushed it.
Love it.
And going back to the purpose of what Johnny Slicks is, it's not just soap, right? We're providing an American dream. We're providing jobs.
Jobs for families.
We're bringing healthy products back to market.
Yeah.
That are made right here in America, that are benefiting Americans
right.
on multiple levels, like second and third order effect between our vendors and all the different things. So when we sat down for the planning meeting for 2024, we said, let's just hammer down and let's provide more clarity and be more intentional about the things.
And so from last year you said you added 12, so you've doubled the size basically of your staff and company.
Yeah, and to be intentional again, like we got fat in 2023 because we knew to keep up with the growth, but then also to prep us for what was coming in 2024.
Because you got a lot to do.
Yeah, we saw a 58% growth in 23 from 22.
58% growth
in our fifth year of business.
In your fifth year of business.
Unheard of.
And then this year our goal is 117%. I don't understand percentages that well. It's actually,
I know that's a lot.
It just it does seem like a lot. Mario, it seems like a lot, yeah?
All
right, guys, I want to close it out. Johnny, thanks for stepping in.
Of course.
I'm just so glad you were here today and able to do that. I know that you both have busy schedules.
He doesn't mind taking a break from his Excel sheets in the master.
Yeah.
I'm still seeing them. Like I see them.
He said he goes, I see Excel sheets and numbers.
Yeah. So huge thank yous to Johnny and Johnny Slicks. Again, johnnyslicks.com if you want to go check it out and order some superior products. And Nick, thank you. For hosting and being hosted, and being hosted in your podcast studio on the first ever Initiative Institute podcast.
That's so exciting.
So again, today's been about initiative and inspiring initiative and action in our lives. Initiative Institute is not about talking about things. We're about doing things. We're not a think tank. We're an action tank. So that thing that you need to go be inspired and go do that thing and let us know about it at initiativeinstitute.com.
So hold on, Kirk. You got to say, and you have to.
What do I have to say? I've never done.
Tell them like, hey, you got to screenshot this, share this with a friend, tag me on Instagram, tag Nick. You know what I mean?
A lot.
Yeah. So again, screenshot this share. Listen, if you enjoyed today's podcast, screenshot this, share this with a friend. Make sure you tag Nick, tag Johnny Slicks, and tag the Initiative Institute. right? Where the eyes have it.
And Kirk Weisler. Tag Kirk Weisler.
Tag Kirk Weisler. Yeah. Dang, I've never really wrapped up. Is it obvious?
Long.
Retake. Okay. Hey, thanks so much, guys. And thank you.
Bye.